We are live, just for the record.
All right, Jillian will be able to manage the participants, and she is prepared to give a summary of the comments as well at that point.
We have a call-in user whose phone number ends in 94. Can you identify yourself, just so I can mark you on our list?
Yes, Mrs. Kirkland.
Are you here as an applicant, or are you here to comment on one of the applications?
I'm here to comment on the application.
Okay, can you spell your name for me? I can't hear you very well.
Willie, last name Kirkland, Kirkland.
Okay, thank you very much. Looks like we have 4 members so far. We're waiting on another board member or 2 before we can start.
Mr. Chairman, Levy Isaacson is here.
Hi, Levy. There's Justin. Hi, Justin.
Oh, now you can hear me. Hello.
Yeah. I think we have, I'm going to run through who we have. We have Justin, we have Yakil, we have Haim Sable, we have Dave, Garfield, and we have Levy. So that is enough to start. We are also expecting, I believe, Bruce Stern. I can't hear you, Yakil, you're muted.
Mr. Sable, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Good afternoon.
Okay, hi, how are you? Okay, so we have 5 people. Mr. Jackson and Ali, we ready?
Yes.
We're ready.
Okay, we'll call to order. Let's rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States
of
America, and to the republic which stands one nation,
God,
and indivisible, with liberty.
liberty, and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Can you please read in the certification of compliance?
The time, date, and location of this meeting was published in the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger and posted on the bulletin board in the office of the Township of Lakewood at least 48 hours in advance. Public has the right to attend this meeting, and reasonable comprehensive minutes of this meeting will be available for public inspection. This meeting meets the criteria of the Open Public Meetings Act.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Garfield.
Here.
Mr. Stern. Mr. Sable.
Here.
Mr. Flansbaum.
Here.
Mr. Herzl.
Here.
Mr. Renner. Mr. Isaacson.
Here.
Mr. Meyer. Mr. Raitzik. Mr. Fuentes. Mr. Ackerman.
Okay, thank you. Swearing in of professionals. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Vogt, do you swear affirm testimony will give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I didn't hear you, but okay. Okay, on to resolutions.
The first resolution we have up is a minor site plan for a building addition. This is the Exxon building.
Okay, I'll just say who can vote.
Yes, it's been a while. Give me just a moment.
Take your time.
Everyone was present except for Mr. Rennert and Mr. Raitzik. So you.
Okay, they're not here anyway. So I would ask for a motion on SP 2383.
So moved. Justin.
Justin moved. Do we have a second?
Bruce will second.
Bruce will second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ali, let the record reflect that Bruce is here.
Yes, thank you.
And Jillian, hi. I saw your face. Jillian,
Hi,
you're on?
hello, everybody. Hi, Mr. Herzl.
Okay, thanks for coming on. Okay, on to number 2.
The next one is SP 2389AA for 3 Chestnut. I did just recently email out 2 revised versions of this resolution to the board
Okay,
members.
whoever's not speaking, please mute yourself. There's a lot of feedback noise. Okay, Ali, please continue. I'm sorry.
That's okay. SP 2389AA, it's a change of use. I did just email out revised versions of these resolutions from John's office. If the board has questions on those, I'm sure John or Jillian can answer those.
Okay, Mrs. Weinstein, you're on this one?
I am on this one. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Good evening, first of all, Miriam Weinstein on
first
behalf
of all-
of 306 Chestnut.
First of all, on behalf of the board, we'd like to give a mazel tov for Mrs. Weinstein. She made a wedding last night. So mazel tov.
Mazel tov, Mrs. Weinstein.
Mazel tov.
Thank you all so much.
She's
Okay.
going out of her way to come here tonight.
No Shava Brachas? Are we fighting with Mr.
There definitely is Shava Brachas. If this wasn't a special client, I wouldn't be doing this. I'm not supposed to be here this evening, but this is on behalf of 306 Chestnut, which is Viney Island, who's not even a paying client. So, which brings me to the reason that we're here. When we heard this application last month, I believe there was a little bit of confusion on it. I think the board had asked me if there was going to be any rentals, to which I responded that it was going to be Viney Island's offices in Lakewood, which is in fact what it is. I just want to make it clear to the board that, first of all, I did not represent that there would be no rentals. This is a not-for-profit organization, barely surviving. They don't have extra funds. What we wanted to clarify is that the resolution should say that there should be no restriction on rentals so long as there is no parking issue. Based on the discrete, and what we did discuss was that based on the discrete nature of their work, they're certainly not going to have any type of an abundance of cars, and they wouldn't be renting it to anybody who's going to have an abundance of cars, because it doesn't even make sense with the sensitivity of the issues of what's going on there. But we just wanted to ask that the version of the resolution be passed that does not have any restriction on rental as long as there is no parking issue.
Mr. Chairman, you're muted.
Okay, thank you, Chaim. Me personally, as long as I understand the whole situation and that everything has to be discreet over here, so I don't think there'll be a parking issue. And as long as resolution says that you will conform with the parking, whatever zoning officer says that you need, then I wouldn't have a problem.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr.
With
Sable.
all due respect to Viney Island, I think the board went out of our way to accommodate them. This is an issue with parking. It's an issue with sidewalk. It is a house on a busy street. I think we deliberated and we discussed this, and we made it very clear that only for Viney Island purposes, and I think we should keep it that way.
Okay.
It's the benefit of the township, it's the benefit of Chestnut Street, and it's the benefit of Viney Island.
So Mr. Sable, the only thing that I would maybe add to it, that should they get more property, or should they could reconfigure the property and get more parking on the property and not have a variance on that, then there is no restriction. Restriction is only because they asked for a variance. And on the rentals, should they come up with another 5 parking spaces, whatever, and it conforms, then I don't have an issue with that.
So how are we going to word that? The current condition as is, I believe they have a
As the current condition, they can't have any rentals until they can prove to the zoning officer that they have enough parking. Or they have to get more property, or they could make the building smaller, or they can reconfigure the building. I don't know.
Why wasn't this brought up?
Go ahead, Bruce.
Excuse me.
Yeah, why wasn't this brought up? I mean, I don't even remember this application, so I'm having difficulty opining one way or the other. I don't remember this. Which is why we have when we do this last time. Why now?
Excuse
Show
me,
me the
there
plan, Ellie.
is a problem with the parking, because when they come out of that driveway, they hit
Talking.
every.
Okay, one second. We can't scream in.
Hold on. To be fair, that was the discussion last time. There's a member of the public who wants to address the parking issue. But Mr. Stern and Mr. Sable, and Jillian, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we have two resolutions. The one has it as a condition that they can't have outside rentals, and that was part of the board's ruling. And then, based on conversations with Ms. Weinstein and looking into this further, we proposed an alternative resolution. So it's going to be up to the board on.
And I just want to put out again, the alternative resolution is also strictly that it's restricted now. Should they get enough parking and they'll have to conform totally, then there's no restriction to rent something out.
They can come in front of the board then and clarify.
You see, why wasn't this brought up last time?
You can ask Mrs. Weinstein that. She's the attorney.
Mr. Chairman, let's just go ahead and pass the first version of the resolution. It's fine.
Okay, with the restriction then.
The version that I didn't even see the second version, to be perfectly candid. The version that I saw that has it has the restriction on the rental.
Okay.
So do we have a motion on that resolution?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, who's that? Bruce?
There's Bruce.
Do we have a second?
Justin, I'll second.
Justin, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. Okay, on to number 3.
Thank you very much. I'm going to sign off.
Okay.
The next
Thank you.
resolution is SP 2388. Mr. Isaacson and Mr. Meyer were not at that meeting. This is a plan for a synagogue and a house on Linden.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Okay, Mr. Sable moves. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 4.
And number 4, same people. Mr. Isaacson was not here. This is a site plan for a synagogue on Flintlock.
Okay, do we have, I ask for a motion?
I'll move that one.
Was that Bruce?
Yeah.
Okay, Bruce moves. And Dave seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Now, Ally, are there any changes to the public agenda?
No.
Okay,
We may reorganize the third item on the agenda, which is on West Cross Street. We may wait and take that at the end of the meeting because Mr. Stern has to leave for a little while, and we need to ensure we have a quorum on that one.
okay.
Mr. Chair?
For now, we-
Yes.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off at about 30 minutes.
Okay,
The meeting at 7, which should last no more than 45 minutes. And then I'm going to Zoom home and I'll be available to the end of the meeting.
okay. Ally, how many people do we have? We have now 5 or 6?
We have 6 right now, if everyone else who's here is staying.
Okay, just in case the first one goes longer than a half an hour, the other 5 can vote. We have no conflicts with anybody, right?
Not that I've been advised.
Okay, good. So let's continue with number 1.
Okay, so the first application up tonight is a major subdivision to create 67 lots on Cross Street made by GSG Crossmass LLC. This is SB 2444.
Okay, thank you. And Terry, would you like to go through the report, please? Terry, are you there? See muted? Jillian, is Terry muted?
Let me double check, Chairman. No, Terry, can you hear us? It doesn't look like Terry's muted.
Terry, are you there?
Oh, no.
See his picture there?
I see his picture and he's not muted right now.
If we want to give it a minute for Terry to possibly log off and try again or sort out his audio issues, I can certainly go through his review letter if the board would prefer.
Which one? He's the engineer who wrote it. I'd like him to be, if we have any questions, I'll give it a minute.
Terry,
Ally, excuse me 1 minute, John. Ally, I don't think I have the ability to mute people. Just wanted to let you know if you could give me that ability, that would be great.
Yes, will do.
Thank you.
Terry, you just showed as muted. Maybe you could dial in on a phone?
Terry speaking. Terry, you're not muted, and we don't hear you. Terry, are you there? We don't hear you. We see you talking.
He said he's going to restart, I think, by his, yeah.
His motion? Okay.
He's going to restart.
Okay. So you okay?
In the meantime, I'll take just another minute. We have another call-in user whose phone number is ending in 55. Can you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, Cruz, C-R-E-W-S.
Cruz, C-R-U again?
C-R-E-W-S.
Okay, I'm not sure I got that properly, but we can address that when it comes to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jillian, while we have a minute, that the resolution that we did for Chestnut, which version is the one that I'm signing? The one labeled version 1 or the original one?
The original one.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we could. Terry, thank you.
I've been on video since 8 o'clock this morning. I have no idea what happened.
Okay. You're the engineer.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
Okay.
Once again, I'm reading from my October 15th review. Going to page 3 under submission waivers. We have proof of submission to open planning, topo contours and man-made features within 200 feet, EIS and architectural drawings. We support the waivers for reasons listed in the letter.
Okay, do we have a motion to go along with engineer's recommendations?
I'll make the motion,
So
Justin.
moved.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. On to zoning. Terry?
Under zoning, I want to take a little bit of time explaining this. No variances are currently identified on the application. However, per our review, no dedication is shown for the right-of-way widening of Cross Street, which is a county road. The county master plan indicates a 43-foot half right-of-way width where 33 is shown. Unless the applicant has met with the county and gotten confirmation that they're not going to require that 10 feet, I recommend consideration that they either apply for the variances or be ready to come back at a future date.
But Terry,
Yes.
can we grant that variance and the county is going to take away the property?
I don't know if granting or not granting the variance is going to have an impact on what the county takes. They're going to look for the benefit of the final build out of the cross street cartway and sidewalk.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that widening that's part of the master plan is not accounted for in the current design. If this gets approved tonight without the variances and they ask for that 10 feet, the applicant's going to be back to the board at a future date.
Okay. I just want to make sure that should the county take those 10 feet, they can still build what they want to build.
They can do so, however, it will create a variance condition that unless the applicant asks for those variances tonight, they'll have to come back.
Okay. Okay, please continue. Thank you.
Continuing on under design waivers, as indicated, comment 1, since more than 25 units are proposed, a design waiver is required from the minimum 5% contiguous open space for recreation, and a design waiver is required from improving a portion of Lewin Avenue along the property frontage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who is then the attorney for this?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Adam Pfefferich on behalf of the applicant.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
Very good. So just to recap, as Terry indicated, we are before the board seeking 30 duplexes and 1 single-family residence for a total of 61 units. This property, this parcel, or several parcels, had previously received an approval under SP 2067, which was for a planned educational campus. As the chairman is aware, as you guys had taken this under review during the master plan, it's an ordinance which indicates that any completed application for a planned educational campus can seek reapproval for a development which shall be conditionally permitted. It is our position this evening that there are no bulk variances being sought. I will have Brian Flannery sworn in a minute, and he will address both Terry's report as well as the question Terry had just raised. Also, just for the record, we also have Scott Kennel here to address traffic concerns. If I can at this time ask that Brian Flannery be sworn in.
Mr. Flannery, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony will give before this board with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Brian Flannery, Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer and professional planner. As indicated, this is an
Brian, one second. Mr. Chairman, just for the record, the board accepts Mr. Flannery as an expert?
Yes, we do. I would ask everybody, please mute. There's a lot of feedback. We can't hear him clearly.
Additionally, Brian, the exhibits that you have, I see they've already been pre-marked. Is that A1 through A4?
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask that as you bring them up, as you reference them, if you can just the first time just describe what they are for the record, but we will be marking A1 through A4. Thank you, Brian.
A1 is a copy of sheet 89 of the tax map, which shows the subject property of the application. It's block 466, all of block 467 except for lot 7. one lot in block 468 and all of block 469 except for lot 8. A2 and A3 are copies of the layout and dimension plans that are shown. And it's a subdivision into conforming R75 duplex lots with one single that's shown on A3 with frontage on Cross Street on the intersection of Trudy Lane and Cross Street. With respect to the question that Terry raised with respect to the dedications, we anticipate, based on conversations with the county, that the road widening to the 43 feet can be provided in a combination of a dedication and a road widening easement. So we'll provide the required area for the future road widenings. Even if, though that isn't agreed to, there is enough land in the two lots that are there that we could reconfigure it, and we're not asking for variances. We're asking for this subdivision as shown. These lots, if the dedication, the full 10-foot dedication is needed, we'll take the full 10-foot dedication out of them, and we'll still have 7,500 square feet for the single and 10,000 square feet for the duplex.
That's fine, Chairman. Thank you.
As indicated in Terry's report, it's an application for 30 duplex units or 60 dwelling units and an additional single, or 61 dwelling units. The property was previously approved for a campus by the Yeshiva Gedola of South Jersey, and in accordance with the master plan recommendation of the planning board and the subsequent adoption of an ordinance by the township committee, we're here to reduce the intensity of the development to come back with the lots as indicated. Terry indicates in his report the campus was approved under SP-2067. And with respect to the design waivers, one of them listed was for submission to the planning board. It delayed quite a while. It was submitted to the planning board, so that has actually been accomplished in the meantime. So now getting to the items on zoning in Terry's report on page 4. The first one indicates that it's a permitted use. The second one indicates that there's no bulk variances, but indicates that potential issue on those two lots, that when we get the county approval, we'll either reduce those lot sizes accordingly or adjust them. And as part of resolution compliance, we work that out. Any board engineer, but my testimony is we will do that with no variance relief required. Item 3 in his report is with respect to access easements for the sidewalks. We've shown the properties with right angle corners and a sidewalk easement across that area. As Terry indicates, the board has on other occasions asked that we actually dedicate that, and that takes a few square feet off the lot area and then requires a variance. We're happy with it the way we've submitted it. It accommodates the sidewalks. It accommodates the lots. If the board feels they'd rather grant a de minimis variance for lot area based on those lots and have circular dedications, the applicant has no problem with that. Then we get to the design waivers with respect to the recreation area. This property is in the Cross and Prospect Street core. There are impact fees associated with it. So for what we get, we will provide an impact fee accordingly. The master plan shows township recreational facilities to be built, and the impact fees associated with these lots from the Cross and Prospect Street core are the where the money comes from to accommodate that. A design waiver is also requested from improving the frontage on Lewin Avenue on the single lot, as I indicated before, that was in block 468. We had one lot, provided access to the lots on Nassau Street. We're not proposing any access on that side property line. If the board feels that we should improve that, then we'll improve it. We're requesting the waiver because we don't feel it's necessary. If the board wants us to improve that, we'll improve it. We don't really have any variances, so my normal testimony on the master plan and the municipal land use law and all that, I don't think is necessary, but due to the magnitude of the application, I'd just like to provide some information relative to our compliance with the master plan and the municipal land use law. The Lakewood Master Plan of 2017 on page 2 gives background information on population growth, and it indicates all the population growth, and it concludes on page 3. Therefore, important Lakewood plan for residential development to house its growing population. And this is a specific area, the crossing on Prospect Street core, where the township had a core developed land and came up with a comprehensive plan for how to develop that. On the same master plan of 2017 vision statement on page 7 says encourage growth and development in appropriate locations consistent with established land uses. And this is in an appropriate location as determined by the planning board and the township committee. The same master plan on page 36, overall recommendations to implement the 2013 smart growth plan. It describes the cross on Prospect Street core. It says the intent is to create a new mixed-use core that incorporates the principles of smart growth and promotes sustainable development practices. And it's my testimony that this project does that. On page 38 of that ordinance, where it was discussing recommended zoning ordinance amendments, is the amendment that brings us here tonight with the reduced density type development. It says permit existing valid campus development approvals to develop in accordance with standards of R75 instead of utilizing campus development approval. So that's the crux of how we fit with the master plan, the municipal land use law, NJAC 40:55 D2 for the purpose of the act. It says encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in a state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. It's my testimony that this project does that. E is to promote appropriate population densities and concentrations that will contribute to the well-being of persons, neighborhood communities, regions, and the environment. And again, it's my testimony that this does this by taking the campus that was approved and providing housing opportunities at properties that are taxed and properties at a much reduced density.
Brian, this is unique for this property. Can any campus go today and get the R75 density?
The ordinance that was adopted in, I think it was in 2018, capped it to at the time of the adopting of the ordinance. So no, nobody can come get a campus now and then come back and say, I want to do R75.
Okay, we're not opening up a can of worms by approving this.
No, you're actually by approving it, you're doing what the planning board proposed back in 2017 and the governing body adopted in their resolution on the change in the ordinance in 2018. So with the door is closed on new people saying, oh, this is a way to get around it, and it's accomplishing something in this Oak Street core where I just read to you what the township's intent was in creating the Oak Street core. It really wasn't to create a campus area. It was to provide a smart growth place where you could have some business, commercial, and residential.
Okay, thank you.
In Terry's report, he asked for testimony regarding a homeowner association, and there is no intention to create a homeowner association. These will be 0 lot line units on fee simple lots. The testimony on the number of bedrooms, and they'll be typical Lakewood R75 homes. Testimony on trash and recyclables, that'll be public works, same as other reports. And the other comments in the report, we would address all of them as part of resolution compliance.
Is Public Works accepted already? You have a letter from them?
Yes, there is.
We have a letter from Public Works that indicates that the stormwater would be public, the sanitation would be public, and it has no indication of a homeowner.
Through the chair?
Yeah. Who's Bruce?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So Brian, I have to leave soon, so if I can just ask a few pointed questions.
You could leave before you ask him if you'd like, but go ahead.
What is going on with block 467, lot 7 and lot 8? There's like 2 empty lots. What's going on there briefly?
It's an ownership issue. So nobody has title that can be conveyed. If this applicant is successful in getting title to that, we could come back and adjust the lots nearby. But since the applicant was not able to acquire that at the time the campus was done, or at the time this application was done, it's properties that are owned by somebody that doesn't want to sell.
So this is not a litigation. This is like a holdout, basically.
It's a title, from my understanding, it's a title problem of people who owns it. And there's no resolution of who the owner is or who you could deal with to buy it. So.
Got it. Okay. So let me ask you, the variance that you're asking to say no playground, and then you said something about it's going to be fine because we're putting money in escrow and there's going to be a playground that the township's paying for down the road. Tell me more about that.
Well, we're not asking for a variance. We're asking for a design waiver. It's two different things. And the normal subdivisions that occur in the town, not in a core, provide the recreation in their little areas. The cores, if you remember the Oak Street core, it was the same situation. Everybody paid a fee, and it was done. This particular core, there is a impact fee that each lot that's approved will have to pay, and those impact fees were to address the cost that the town was going to incur on both traffic and stormwater and recreation amenities. And the master plan, the smart growth plan, all showed township land within this core that would be for recreation, as well as township land within the core that would be for public purposes.
How far away is this public land from this development, Brian?
Based on the tax map, it's within 800 feet.
So it's about 300 yards, a little bit less.
A little bit less than 300 yards, yes.
Okay, so we're going to have, and what, this is down a public street to get to this land?
Yes.
So we're going to have little kidless, little 5-year-olds walking 300 yards on a public street to get to the playground?
But the little 5-year-olds will play in their backyards the same as they do all the other R75 developments. And when their moms want to take them for a walk, they'll walk them 2 blocks to a playground.
Well, Brian, I don't know about you, but you've lived in Lakewood longer than I, but I don't think that's how it works. I think in a development that has lots and lots of young families, there's bazillions of little kids with their cozy coops. You know what a cozy coop is, Brian? It is the most produced car in America. Made by Fisher-Price. They're always in yellow with an orange roof. And these little kids are running around in their cozy coops. And oftentimes, mommy's not there. Mommy's distracted. So I don't think it's a really good plan. At 67 units with basements, 2 times that is 134 times, I don't know, about 4. So that's about 600 little micronauts running around here in the street. I think we need a playground on site, but that's just my 2 cents. So I would say that's a design waiver we should not waive. Not safe.
But Brian, let me ask you.
Can I add? Second. The impact
who's this,
fee
Mr.
is-
Sable?
Yeah, the impact fee is standard for any duplex that gets built, unrelated to the 5% that's required in a big development.
I was gonna ask that. There's the 5% that you have to give for open area has nothing to do with the impact fee.
Well,
Is that correct?
the 5% was put in a long time ago, and it's 5% open space. But that was put in prior to where we had a core where the town was proposing where recreation would be. And with respect to everybody that builds a duplex pays an impact fee, that's not correct. You only pay an impact fee if you're in an area where the township has determined, and I'm not sure how many zones they have in town, but at least half of the town doesn't have impact fees because they're not in a zone where the town said, and I know the Oak Street core because that's where I've seen them, and now here in this Cross and Prospect Street core, they have the impact fees because as part of the process in the smart growth plan, T&M looked at what's going to happen in these cores and said we need to have an impact fee to address that.
Well, Brian, a community center you having on this development?
What was the question?
If there's going to be a community center.
There's no community center proposed.
Don't you need one if it's over 25 units?
The community center is never a requirement. The typical developments in Lakewood, where you're not in a core, they indicate that you need to set aside 5% common area. That 5% common area is set aside mostly for a shul, and the shul sometimes has a playground along with it. So there's no requirement for a shul. And again, this is a by right application. We are asking for a waiver on the recreation. There is a provision in the ordinance with respect to recreation that says if you're between 25 and 30, it's not really practical making a fee, a per unit fee to pay for that. I would think that if the board were to look at this as, okay, so this is 60, but due to the nature of it being in the core, if the board were to say, we're not going to grant the waiver, but you need to pay that fee in accordance with the ordinance, I think the developer would feel that's an appropriate thing to do. He wants to have a nice development, and it would certainly help the.
Brian, do you have any?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Flannery, I have a question for you. You know, a waiver is still relief that the board must grant. It's not stringent as a variance, but there still has to be reasons for it. You know, you have a blank canvas here, and you know, what's the basis for your request for the waiver for the recreational space?
The basis is what I read in the master plan on the intent of the core. The fact that each of these lots is paying a fee. Pays for the township to create the recreation, which is 2 blocks away.
Well, it's not an either or. It's not an either or. I mean, when they wrote the ordinance that said you're supposed to have a recreational amenity, they knew about the fee or vice versa. So when I say about the hardship or the practical difficulty, I mean, there's nothing about the configuration that would prevent you from creating some kind of a recreational space here, is there?
There's nothing about the configuration, but my testimony was based on the intent of the ordinance that the town is developing a recreation area and that the cores are different. That provision of the ordinance was put in probably back in 1999 when had no plans of any cores. So we understand its relief. We understand the board has to be convinced. What I'm suggesting is that possibly instead of requiring one of the units to be removed and a playground put there, that the applicant make a contribution in accordance with the ordinance, the same as they can do in any other place in town if they only have 30 lots.
Yeah, but Brian, the problem is that could be a year, that could be 5 years, that could be 10 years, that could be 15 years. In the meantime, we've got a 5-year-old walking 300 yards on a public street. That ain't safe. This is plenty dense. This is you got squished in here. So, I mean, to me, I think you need, Mr. Chairman, with this, I have to go.
Yeah, Bruce, we have basements also. It's
You got
120
basements
feet.
also. This is an extreme, and I don't know the whole background of this whole ordinance, a unique ordinance that only has 2 exceptions, but it doesn't sound like a context that we should be bending over backward and looking for leniencies. There's times when this board is looking for leniencies, and there's times when this board doesn't need to look for leniencies. My gut is this is not a situation where we have to look for leniencies. We're not looking to beat people up, Brian, but we're not looking to go above and beyond the call of duty. This is a very dense development. It should have a shul and it should have a proper playground that the kids of this development have a safe place to play. With that, I will bid you all good evening, and I'll try to get back as soon as I can.
Okay, thank you. Brian.
Question.
Yeah, 1 second, Dave. Brian, is there any room on this property to put, without losing one house, to put a playground?
No. One of the units would have to be eliminated.
Okay. Dave?
The question is, what is the distance from the furthest house to an area you want to put a playground? You came up with the 800 foot, but from that's from the closest, probably. I'm sure you're going to. But from the furthest point,
that is correct. The furthest point is another 1,000 feet.
Cool.
So then you're really talking quite a distance. Where I like to see it right in the middle, making it an easy one and off the main street.
Yeah, Brian, 1,800 feet. That's almost that's a quarter of a mile. A third of a mile.
When I hear 5-year-olds walking down the street, I don't think they should be walking 200 feet down the street, with unsupervised.
Agreed. So put the park in the middle.
I'm sure he also meant 7-year-old and 8-year-old and 10-year-old.
I know. And as they get older, will be older.
Brian.
I'm bringing that as a point. That's a long distance for kids.
Okay, Brian.
It's a long distance for most adults.
Brian, is there anything else in the report that you don't agree with? We agree with everything else.
Everything else we would agree to, and obviously we need relief from the board. If the board doesn't want to grant that relief, the applicant would, and we could take a look at A2. And Dave is talking about a unit, and it would be a duplex that we would lose. So we would lose 2 units. The duplex on the corner of Nassau and Nussbaum. That would be the playground.
That's the center?
Or Trudy Lane. Nassau and Trudy, which is center.
Trudy and Nassau.
Trudy and Nassau.
Yes. Now, coming down on Trudy, 702 lot, what's going in there? I don't see any lots, just one big lot there.
Coming down on Trudy, 702 is somebody else's property.
Okay, you answered. Well.
Okay. Any other questions from any board members?
Yes, Chaim Table.
Yeah, Chaim, please go ahead.
Okay, so question regarding sidewalks for now. I don't know if you're requesting it, but it's Trudy Lane on the side of the yeshiva. You don't want to put sidewalks over there? I don't know if you have to, but if you don't want to, maybe you have to ask for a waiver.
Well, the ordinance says we have to put sidewalk along our frontage. So typically the board has not considered that a waiver. Whoever comes to build the other side would provide the sidewalk. And we have sidewalk all the way along on our side. I would tend to, on the opposite side of Nassau, where we don't own that, to connect up to it would make sense that we would connect that sidewalk along Nassau so that all of the new units have no gaps in the sidewalk.
How wide is Trudy?
Trudy is a 50-foot right-of-way.
Okay. And so is Nassau. The whole is regular sized roads.
Yeah.
And Nassau, you're approving it, right? It says unapproved.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think that that's the yeshiva over there. That's there to stay, and nobody else is going to come and put that sidewalk in there.
I know we've had a lot of discussion about this, Terry. What's the policy of the town when somebody's putting in a new road, whether they have to improve both sides of the road?
If someone's putting a new road in, the road design would have to be reviewed and approved by the engineering department, possibly with input from the traffic safety unit.
But what about having to put sidewalks on both sides? Is that normal, or is it just, I know we've had a lot of discussion about this too. I just can't remember what the outcome was at this moment.
Standard default is to have sidewalks on both sides unless there's a compelling reason not to. Now, whether or not, both sides, a responsibility of one applicant is another question.
Right. John, I think in the past, the issue has become, it's not our property. I completely understand where it's our property. I try to recall, I think on other ones we've done, I think, curb, but go onto the property and put the sidewalks. I don't have the authority or jurisdiction to do that.
This is virgin land now, though, right? I mean, there's a paper street there, but you're paving it, right? There's no road there.
Correct.
And the road's being put into service your development of how many units is this again? How many households?
61 units.
61 units. That's a pretty big development. And then to only have, you're paving the road on to both sides, the full width, right?
Right. So what I'm indicating is that, yes, we're putting the road and we're putting the sidewalk and curbing on everything that we front on. As far as the land that's not ours, the board is not required. I don't think we have the authority to require us to put the sidewalk into another person's property. That being said, I think Brian, just we can confirm, I believe we've done curbing on previous applications, which I don't think we have an objection to, so that the road is secure and everything's there. But as far as a sidewalk, we don't have the authority to go on the property.
Well, the sidewalk would not go on someone else's property. It would go in the right of way.
Right.
Sometimes grading is needed in order to make the sidewalk work with the road grade, so we would need permission from the property owner.
Maybe, maybe not.
And we're talking about 500 feet, correct?
I'm just trying to figure out whether you have to, whether you should, whether it's optional, because it sounds like there's some, and obviously it's like a windfall to the people on the other side where they get.
John, it's a legal issue.
The discussions we've had
on your property
on this is that the other side of the street is an off-track improvement. If there was a necessity for an off-track improvement that was generated by this project, then it's clear that we need to do that. This off-track improvement, the pedestrians can walk on one side of the street. The only reason they need to walk on the other side of the street is if they're going to the neighbor, and the neighbor should build his own sidewalk.
They are coming from going from north to south. They're walking on the west side of the street. If they're coming from Prospect Street towards Cross Street, they're not going to cross over to your side of the street. They're just going to continue walking on the west side of this Trudy Lane, and just walk either on the road or on sand, on grass.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Mr. Chairman, why don't you
Mr. Jackson.
I think we know what the issues are. We've had this on lots of cases. Why don't you take a poll of the board right now on the issue of whether, maybe a lot of the members don't think it's fair. I seem to recall there's a case that says.
We had it on.
Flannery saying that this might be an offsite. That this
might be
Chestnut. I'm sorry, yeah.
We had on Chestnut with her side.
Improvement, but maybe the board is persuaded that it's just, let the other side pay for their improvement, their side of the road. So if that's the way the board's leaning, I see no reason to debate this for half an hour.
Okay,
so before you go, I think we just make it clear that it's approximately 500 square feet at even $10 to $15 a square foot. We're talking about $7,500, $10,000 a max. I mean, it's a lot of money, but I think the benefit to the township and to the area.
On a 660 unit development, $7,000 is not significant.
with all due respect, again, this is not necessarily a money issue that we're arguing. Again, I don't recall an application that the board has imposed a off-site improvement on another person's property.
On Chestnut, we did it. On Chestnut, we had a school.
And I don't want to research that right now, and I don't want to spend 2 hours talking about this. If the board doesn't want it, it's not an issue. If the board does want it, and it's legally not appropriate, we'll figure that out by the time we do the resolution, which I have a feeling we might not have the authority to ask for it, but let's just see. I mean, maybe the majority of the board just says, yeah, right, it's not fair. We don't want them to do it.
Mr. Flansbaum, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think in a development of this scope, as long as it's not, as long as it's legal, I think they should do it.
Okay, Mr. Isaacson.
I agree.
You agree. And Mr. Sable, I know you agree. And Mr. Garfield.
Should be a sidewalk.
Should be a sidewalk. And I will repeat the same question, Mr. Meyer. Jakey, you're on? He's muted. Okay, now I just want to continue, go on with the application. Regarding giving a lot for recreation. Mr. Sable, I think your opinion is that we should give away a lot. Is that correct? Correct. Mr. Flansbaum?
Yeah, I think they should definitely have recreation on a development of this scope.
And they should lose a lot. Well, if they have to lose one lot.
The development of this scope needs recreation. If they have to lose a lot, they should.
Okay. Mr. Isaacson?
Most definitely, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And Mr. Garfield?
They should have a lot, and I believe it should be in the area of Trudy and Nassau, in the center of the area.
Okay. So, Mr. Pfeffer, I think you heard loud and clear on both issues what the board members feel.
Understood.
Mr. Chairman, respectfully, may I ask for your opinion on it? Because I want to know for going forward what your opinion is in this issue, if I may.
My opinion is that on something at this scope, I think it's a minor issue. Safety, we have to look out for safety. A tot lot and sidewalks is a safety issue, and I think when you're building 60 houses, the cost is minuscule compared to this, what we could have safety for a child.
Mr. Chairman, I believe the word you were looking for is the cost is de minimis.
De minimis, okay. Right, you're right. But it's not a big cost, and I think we should ask for it on 60 units.
Thank you.
Okay.
I want to add one more question. I think Brian already addressed it. I just want to clarify on Nassau Street between that single duplex towards Trudy Lane. I think they didn't want to put sidewalk. I think Brian clarified that they will put sidewalk.
Yes. Sidewalk there is appropriate, and the cost of that would be de minimis.
Okay. Now,
final question on Lewin Avenue. They're requesting a waiver from finishing that entire street, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do any board members have any other questions? Seeing none, I would open up to the public.
Mr. Chairman, if we can, I have another witness, Scott Kennel. Again, Mr. Kennel has prepared the report and submitted it. If the board doesn't have any questions, I have no objection to waiving Mr. Kennel's verbal testimony, and we'll just submit that his report be entered into the record. But if anybody has any questions, we have Mr. Kennel here. We can swear him in.
Okay. Okay, so Mr. Kennel, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony we give before this board be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Kennel, Kennel, with McDonough and Ray Associates, 1431 Lakewood Road, Manasquan.
Okay, briefly, just tell us about the traffic over there.
Okay, briefly, what I did is my office conducted traffic counts at Massachusetts and Cross in September 2020. And just for any concerns relative to whether those are appropriate traffic volumes, I compared them, given the COVID situation. I compared the traffic counts to the 2017 counts done for the park development on the golf course. And the counts that my office collected were 10 to 15% higher than the base traffic data used on another traffic study. So taking that into consideration, it's my opinion that the base data I use is appropriate for the analysis here that I provided. I included the traffic from the golf course redevelopment as well as a 45,000 square foot shopping center proposed on Cross in the vicinity of Prospect. And I also took into consideration the Ocean County planned improvements, which provides for the widening of Cross Street in the vicinity of the site that would provide a two-way center left turn lane and then one travel lane in each direction with a 5-foot shoulder. The analysis indicated that at both Trudy and Nussbaum, they would operate a level service C in the morning and a level service D in the afternoon. As a follow-up to one of the comments in Terry's report about the future development of blocks 457 and 458 with 20 duplexes, the level of service would be the same in the morning and afternoon for both study locations with a slight increase in delay, but they would still be a level service C in the morning and level service D. Just for the board's benefit, I have done a separate traffic study that's dated October 26th for those 20 duplexes. That'll be part of that application when it's heard by the board. And that's basically the abbreviated version, but the key is that with the county improvements, taking consideration other development and traffic growth. I mean, I added additional traffic growth besides the golf course redevelopment. It's a level service C in the morning and a level service D in the afternoon at both study locations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Mr. Kennel? Okay, so I would open it up to the public right now. Ally, do we have any public comment on this application?
Yes, I did get one via email that I can share now.
Thank you.
It came in during the meeting, so I haven't really previewed it, but it's from Mr. Zinas. He said he would like to recommend the board condition its approval on the applicant installing the following. 1, retro-reflective street name signs along all the corners of this development, and that street name signs be installed on top of the stop signs to ensure they do not get blocked by other traffic control signs. 2, crosswalks along the corners. 3, stop bars as well as double yellow solid lines painted 50 feet from the stop bars. 4, yellow paint on the curbs 50 feet from the stop signs and 25 feet from the crosswalks across from the stop signs, as well as no parking signs along these areas to guide drivers not to park too close to the corners. 5, bright sticks on each stop sign. Lakewood Public Works has been going around town installing these bright sticks to brighten up stop signs, so this should be the new standard as well for all new developments. Truly yours, Moshe Zinas.
Okay.
That's the only comment I received via email. We may have 1 or 2 callers that we want to open up to, though.
Okay. So, Jillian, you want to open up? Who do we have call-ins? Who's with the last letter 04? Okay.
I believe that, no, I apologize. Ms. Cruz is a different number.
Let's unmute Ms. Cruz, though.
Yeah, she's muted right now.
I can't, there you go.
Okay, she's unmuted.
Mrs. Cruz.
Hi. Yes, I'm calling about the show going up across the street on 15 Clover Street.
Okay, so that's not this application. Okay.
So just stand by and you'll have your opportunity at the right time when that case is being heard.
Okay. Okay. Is there anybody else? Who is with the last digits 04? He's not muted.
Do we have a call-in user with a phone number?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Clover 15.
Okay, thank you. And Miss Kirkland, I believe, is still here. Miss Kirkland, were you here on this cross street application?
Clover 15.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your patience, everyone. We will get to that one as soon as we can.
Okay, I would close it to the public right now. Mr. Jackson, you don't have anything that Ally doesn't have, right? No. Okay, so I'm closing it to the public. Okay, thank you. I'm closing it to the public, and I would ask for a motion on this application.
Mr. Chairman, before you make a motion, I'm
Yeah.
looking at the
Ask for a motion.
On Lewin Avenue, there's at the corner of Lewin and Nassau, there's lot 1.01 and 1.02. I'm just curious why I understand that the rest of the property there is not there, so they're leaving it unimproved. Why aren't they improving it? Why is the applicant improving it until the end of 1.01 along that frontage on Lewin?
We asked for a waiver for improving it along the frontage on Lewin. We are improving the rest of it, and we've agreed to extend the sidewalk on Nassau in front of the property.
Brian, I see this as an issue whenever this guy 468 7.01 comes to develop whatever this is going to be developed into, he's going to be saying, why should he complete the street? That part is not his. Why don't we just finish it now along the entire length of 1.01?
Well, this applicant has agreed to put sidewalk in on other people's properties and agreed to some things, but it's the board's decision. We requested the relief. I gave my reasoning on why it is. We've gone along, the little arm twisting on the other things. So we're requesting the board grant it.
I think I may have one more arm twist left in me, Brian.
Okay.
Who's going to come down the road and develop this land? You're putting in a new duplex where it's going to be done. Nobody's going to ever want to take responsibility of fixing that and putting at least sidewalk or developing that. That's the first half until after the duplex at least.
It sounds like my arm is being twisted again, and we're not going to get that relief either.
Are you requesting relief from developing the entire Lewin, or only till after your duplex?
Only to our property line. That's all that we're required to do.
Unless you can answer, who would come down the road and develop this? And nobody would.
If nobody comes down the road and develops it, the trees stay and everybody's happy. Nobody needs it.
Yeah, but there's going to be a land.
Anybody that would need to develop it, the cost would be on them. The same as this applicant is developing streets that property owners on the other side of the street own. So he's providing a benefit to other property owners. We don't need it for any access or any use. But I understand the board's position, and it's the board's decision.
When 479 Lot 2 will come back eventually very soon to develop their property, which is the west of our property, west of the yeshiva, west of Lewin Avenue, 479 Lot 2, he's going to put up a bunch of duplexes there as well. He's not going to finish that. His money as well.
Well, he would have to request relief from the board as well. So it doesn't sound like you're in the, you're approving relief.
Okay.
I think we should develop that area.
Okay.
Flannery, I'm sorry. I just want to understand something. I'm looking closely at the plans again, and that parcel, the duplex, that's off on its own. Does your client own all the land that's in that, in the gap there that's not being developed?
No.
So they have the main parcel, I'll call it, and then they have another parcel a lot away or two.
Anyone hear me?
They have the lot shown in yellow on Exhibit A1. And all the other properties are owned by other parties.
Okay, so you'll just develop. What about the other yellow parcels behind on the other side of Nassau? All right, I got it now. Never mind. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I would ask for a motion on this application based on everything we just said.
I'll make a motion to approve it with the conditions that the board requested, including sidewalk along Trudy Lane, Nassau, and improving the extra area on Lowen until after the duplexes and giving us a 5% that requires.
That means giving you a recreation lot.
Correct.
Okay,
Through the chair, this is Justin.
yes.
Chaim, just when you say behind the duplexes, are you indicating, you're basically saying that we're not granting them their design waiver request?
For Lewin Avenue.
For Lewin, right? So in other words, they're going to be improving Lewin across their entire frontage.
Only their frontage, yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll second.
Okay, and we're not granting the waiver on the recreation either, to be clear.
Correct. Yeah, I'll second Chaim's motion.
Okay, roll call, please. Ali, you're muted. I don't hear you. Okay,
I was calling Mr. Garfield's name, looking for him. I thought he was muted.
okay.
I'm here.
Garfield.
No.
Mr. Stern. Mr. Stern left. I'm sorry. Mr. Sable.
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum.
Yes.
Mr. Herzl.
Yes.
Mr. Isaacson.
Yes.
And I know Mr. Myers here, but I believe he came in the middle. We have an approval without him. I'm going to skip him on the roll call.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman? Mr.
Yes.
Chairman? I don't know if it's appropriate. Can we ask Mr. Garfield for his reason for no, so we can know for the future what would he have wanted?
I
I'd
have
like
no
to
problem.
get the traffic study. Some questions I had on that, which one answered, and I want to get the builder to verify the playground area that it would be, I'll say in a reasonable walk area for all the children in that in those blocks. That would get him to put a playground. It could end up at the end with I like to see equidistant from all points. The traffic study I'd like to really get into more.
I think they agreed to make it in the center. We told them which.
Okay, then. Okay. That point, but the other, I'd like to really personally see more study on this cross street because it's got big problems there. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to have 6 blocks coming into Cross Street.
Chairman, my motion was not to require them to put a playground unless that's a given. They just have to provide a space, correct?
Right. Yes.
Very good.
A recreational lot, we said.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, on to number 2.
Making a note, not necessarily playground equipment. So we can get that correct.
Call it a recreational lot.
That's something we'll have to talk about because that's going to have to be somehow deed restricted to the benefit of the community in conjunction with the proposal. I mean, it's not necessarily a community association for this type of a development. These are all freestanding homes. So there has to be a mechanism for all of the homeowners to get together to put some, and then manage it, et cetera. That's a little unwieldy.
Could we dedicate it to the township?
Just realize everything that goes with that.
Could we dedicate it to the township for open area?
We could do that. It's something we'll have to talk about, but there are some mechanics that go along with this that that are, just kind of, dawning on me as we put this condition in, because this isn't like a condominium complex. These are all freestanding homes. So who's going to pay the insurance? Who's going to mow the grass? Who's going to take care of this? It's not that simple. It might make sense to dedicate it to public purpose.
I think they should dedicate it to the township. Let the township leave it.
All right. Well, I'll have to figure out the mechanics of that with Mr. Pfeffer at a later date. So, Jillian, just be aware when we do the resolution on this, we're going to have some further discussions, possibly even with the township, to figure out how to accomplish this.
Will do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on to number 2.
Application is SD 2453. It's a minor subdivision from 3 on Eastern Avenue.
Okay, Terry, would you like to go through the report, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm reading from my November 3rd.
Okay, thank God we have you now. Right, Terry?
Can you hear me, Chairman?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear now.
Fortunately, all right. I'm reading from my review dated November 3rd of 2020. And I'm going to go to page number 3 at the very top. There's a submission waiver with respect to proof of submission to Ocean County Planning. We can support that waiver for hearing purposes only as noted. It's up to the board chairman whether you want to grant the waiver.
Nikhil, are you there? Do you want to take a motion on the design waivers?
I was muted, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm asking for a motion to go along with engineer's recommendations on the design waivers, on the waiver, submission waiver.
Justin, this is for a submission waiver, not the design
Right,
waiver.
submission waiver, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll move that.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor, aye. Okay.
Aye.
Okay, Terry.
Ally, just, excuse me, just double check the roll call, make sure we have 5 members, Ally.
Yes.
We have,
We have Nikhil, we have Justin, we have Bruce.
Hello?
3, we have Dave.
Hello?
yeah, we have 6. Yeah, who's saying hello there?
I don't know.
Is Bruce there? I know he stepped away. I know his computer's on. I'm not sure if he's still there.
Bruce is not there. He said he'll be back a little after 7. I didn't see him.
There's a lot of names to go through here. I see we have Justin, Jake, we have Dave, we have Nikhil, and Dee still here.
Hold on a second. Jillian, can you mute everybody except Ally for a moment?
Sure.
All right, Ally, why don't you take a roll call just to make sure that we have 5 members?
Mr. Garfield, still here?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Stern, are you still here? No, he's not. I'm sorry. Mr. Sable. You need to unmute him, I believe. Mr. Fine Sable, you there?
He's
I don't
muted.
think he's there.
He's muted.
I might need to leave in a few minutes, so I want to make sure we have 5 without me.
Okay, so far, Mr. Garfield, Mr. Foun's still here?
I'm here. Yep.
Hertz is still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
And Levy is still here, Mr. Isaacson?
I am here.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5, but not if we lose Mr. Sable.
That's 5 even if say Mr. Sable leaves, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Jake. Jake is still here. So yes, we have 6, and if Mr. Sable leaves, that makes 5.
And we're expecting Mr. Stern back shortly. So hopefully, if anybody else has to leave, we'll have him. Okay, so let's, please continue. Terry, you're in the middle of the report?
Yes, Chairman. I'm going to continue on page 3 under section 2 zoning. Our comment number 2 for future development of proposed lot 41.01, if permitted, extension of Sampson Avenue will be necessary. The property shows wetlands and a buffer in that area. We're going to ask for testimony from the applicant's professionals as to the buildability of that road extension. Continuing on, comment 3, the applicant requires side yard setback variances as well as for an accessory structure on new lot 41.06. Finally, comment 5, a variance will be required for the number of off-street parking spaces on proposed lot 41.06 unless the existing driveway is paved and provides enough room for 4 spots. That's our comments, Chair. I'm sorry, I have a couple more under design waivers. On page 4, a design waiver would be necessary if improvement Sampson is not proposed, and also for side lot lines which are not perpendicular, which the board has granted in the past.
Okay.
That's our comments.
Thank you, Terry. Who's the attorney for this application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Adam Pfefferton, on behalf of the applicant. As Terry indicated, we are seeking to subdivide 3 existing properties into 6 new properties. The subdivision proposes to provide for 2 duplex buildings on 4 zero-lot line properties, a single-family lot with an 6-story dwelling to remain in a parcel to be maintained by the applicant. As far as any technical questions we may have, I have Brian presents for him at this time.
You're the chair. This is John.
Everybody muted. There's a lot of feedback noise.
Somebody's very bad.
Somebody has a radio going, something. Please continue. It's much better now.
Okay. Can we swear in Mr. Flannery?
Mr. Jackson, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Flannery, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony you give before this board with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Brian Flannery, Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer, professional planner.
Okay, we'll accept them.
The application as indicated is for 3 existing lots on Ocean Avenue, Route 88. We submitted a copy of sheet 52 of the tax map highlighting the subject lots. I'm sure the board is all familiar with this particular area. There's a lot of duplexes, townhouses. We're near the Lakewood Housing Authority. So the proposal is to, and I'll set up the property in the same direction as the tax map is. The proposal is to leave the existing dwelling, create 2 conforming duplex lots for 4 duplex dwelling units, and leave the rear portion as undeveloped. If we look at Terry's report under zoning.
Brian, I apologize. If you can just mark the exhibits, I apologize. Thank you.
A1 is sheet 52 of the tax map that was submitted.
Mr. Flannery, I'm sorry, I didn't get the tax map, so I can't share that with the board, but I can make your screen bigger if you want to share it. I'm not sure. All right, hold on just a minute. Let me see if I can make you big for everyone. I don't think I can, but
we don't really need the tax map. Everybody knows where it is. So we'll go with A1 is a copy of the minor subdivision plan. It shows the 3 lots which we're proposing to subdivide into 6 lots. One would be for the existing single-family dwelling to remain, 2 duplexes on 0 lot line duplexes, and then a remaining open space in the back. We also submitted the final plat of the major subdivision, which doesn't show much of anything else, and we submitted an aerial, which Ali has up on the screen at this point. What happened on the screen? Which shows the surrounding development that I discussed. You can see the duplexes and the housing authority property is just a little north of the aerial, doesn't show. But this is an infill lot, and the applicant is proposing conforming duplex lots. The lot in the back is one of the questions in Terry's report. If we go to page 3 of the report, under zoning, number 1 indicates that it's a permitted use in the zone. Number 2 talks to the extension of Sampson Avenue. And Sampson Avenue right now has environmental constrictions. We don't have DEP permits to use it. We're not intending to do anything with it at this time. That'll take a lot of work in the future to come up with something that makes sense for that. If nothing comes up with it, then it'll just remain as an undeveloped piece of property. The minimum side yard setback variances we're asking for the lots. We have 60-foot wide lots. We're asking for 5 feet on each side. I think if you look at the aerial that was submitted, you'll see that there's plenty of others in the area that have that 5 feet on each side for 10 feet in between them. And that just allows the homeowners to have a 25-foot wide house, which is better for the future homeowners and residents of the township. We're requesting that relief. We need a variance from the board in order to get that. The next variance we need is a minimum side yard setback for an accessory structure, and that's the existing shed that's already there. We're asking for the variance to leave it where it is. Item 5 in the report says a variance will be required for the number of off-street parking spaces on new lot 41.06, which is the existing house. It has a gravel driveway. The gravel driveway doesn't meet the ordinance, but it's existing. The applicant is requesting relief to allow the existing gravel driveway that provides for sufficient parking for the unit.
Oh, here you go.
With respect to design waivers, the design waiver from improving Sampson Avenue is because we don't have DEP permits to improve that, so we can't. And the side lot lines at not perpendicular to the right of way, and as Terry indicated, due to the nature of the existing property lines, it lays out better for development with them not complying with that. With respect to the
Brian, how many lots are there total? 5 lots? 5 new lots?
Six lots. 4 of them are 0 lot lines. 1 is the existing house, and a remainder
Is the open area?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So the
and the existing house, you're not doing anything to that lot?
That is correct.
Okay. And you have sidewalks in front of them, the whole thing?
We're proposing sidewalks in front of the entire property.
Okay. Okay, please continue.
So with respect to the justification for the variances, these would be C2 variances. If you look at the master plan of 2017, on page 2, the background information, it talks about all the growth. It concludes on page 3 that based on this information, it's important for Lakewood to plan for residential development to house its growing population. The vision statement on page 7 of the same master plan says encourage development and redevelopment based on smart growth planning principles. And it's my testimony that this does this. It's an appropriate redevelopment. If you look at the aerial that was submitted, it fits in well with the area. The municipal land use law, NJAC 40:55D2, under the purpose of the act, is A, encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. It's my testimony that this does that. E is to promote the establishment of appropriate population densities and concentrations that will contribute to the well-being of persons, neighbors, communities, regions, and preservation of the environment. And I think when you look at the aerial, you see that this is going to fit in and be very compatible with the area. With the C2 variance, we need to show it relates to a specific piece of property. This is an infill lot. The lots are very narrow. Usually we try to get them to be 67 feet wide so that then you can have 26-foot wide houses. As an architect and the architectural plans, the 26 feet really works out a little better. It makes it comfortable for them. The land was available. We would have made them 26. In order to develop this unique piece of property, we have them at 60, which conforms with the ordinance. We're requesting the side setback relief, which really isn't going to adversely impact anybody in order to allow the future residents to have 25-foot wide units. We have to show the purposes of the municipal land use law would be advanced, which is what I read. The variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. And it's my testimony that this will fit in well and it's compatible with the area. The variance will not impair the intended purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance. And a development of this type certainly isn't going to have that, and that the benefits substantially outweigh the detriments. And it's my testimony that this does that.
Brian, how many parking spaces do you have for each lot?
All of the lots have a minimum of 4 parking spaces. The existing house on lot 41.06 will have 4 parking spaces, but it's in the existing gravel driveway.
And the garbage is going to be the township?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Yes, Terry.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to proposed lot 41.01 and Sampson Avenue. I heard testimony that that property won't be developed unless or until someone does the Sampson Avenue access in the future. If the board acts favorably on this, I want some kind of assurance that the township is not going to inherit future maintenance obligations of that property if it goes undeveloped in the long term. Right now, you have an owner identified as 327 Ocean LLC. I don't know if they're going to retain ownership of that property if approved. If something can be put in the approval, that whoever owns that property, they're going to be responsible for the maintenance of that property, irregardless of whether it's developed or not.
And then
Jared, so I was wondering, you're talking about the maintenance on our property itself, not the actual township road, correct?
Yeah, we don't want the township to have any obligations to maintain that property if it's never developed.
Understood. Our property is our property. I just want to make sure we're not talking about the road. If you're talking about the property itself,
I'm talking about the property.
Yes, we will be responsible to maintain our property, just as we would anyway. So
Okay.
Terry, don't we need
327 Ocean or future successors?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Jackson, don't you need a homeowners association if there's extra property that doesn't belong to these properties?
No, these are individual lots, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'll let John answer, but this.
No, the lot line's not going through all the way to Sampson Avenue from Ocean Avenue. The lot 41.01 is a separate lot. Who owns it?
It's a separate lot that has frontage on Sampson Avenue. And as Terry's indicated, it's going to be retained the applicant 327 Ocean LLC, and we're agreeing that 327 Ocean Avenue or future owners would be responsible for maintaining it. At this point, it looks like it's an undevelopable piece of property, but if a permit can be granted or something can be done where it would be developable, the applicant would need to come back to the town and get whatever approvals are needed in order to do that.
So it does not belong to the 4 properties on Ocean Avenue or the 5 properties?
That is correct.
Yeah, but the owner will retain ownership. And Mr. Vogt, why would that be different than any other vacant lot in town? I think it's wooded. And it's a parcel. It's got street frontage. No, it's paper street.
We're bringing it up, John, because the existing property does not require the improvement of Sampson Avenue. The existing overall property has Ocean Avenue access.
I see.
You're creating a property that has no access.
It's landlocked.
Exactly.
It has
Unless or until Sampson's developed.
Well, it's still landlocked because it's. Is there anything that would prevent Sampson from being developed? Is it environmentally constrained or anything like that?
Yes, it's called NJDEP.
Wetlands. But the lot has no vehicular access, but it has pedestrian access. It has access that anybody that wanted to walk there can walk there. They just get the road today. And the applicant is okay with the condition as Terry requested, indicating that they're responsible for the maintenance because they are responsible for the maintenance.
Mr. Flanagan,
I wonder if we're setting the stage for a problem too, in that this does not have street access. I wonder if that gives an easement by necessity to the back lot to get out to Ocean because they're basically landlocked because of environmental constraints.
We're happy to have a condition in the approval that there's no easement by need and necessity because they can't get to the back lot to do anything by driving because there's going to be housing there. The only access that people would have to that lot are like similar to all the other vacant lots, which keep getting fewer all the time in township, where there's a paper street that allows you access to your property, but it's undeveloped, so you can only walk to your property.
You know, I'm having trouble like correlating what I'm looking at right now on the screen with what I look at when I look at the aerial. Is it a different orientation or something? Like when I look at the aerial photograph, it looks like Sampson is far away, and then there's a lot in between Sampson and this L portion of the lot.
You look at.
I think it's a paper street. It's undeveloped.
But the paper street would have to go right through an existing house.
No, it doesn't go through an existing house.
John, that's not correct.
I know, it can't be. Well, okay.
But John, but I think what we are indicating is that We're not asking for any approval that wouldn't, we're fine with a condition that we have to front on the street, and we can't ask for a hardship variance on that due to separation. There is a paper street, it is existing, and we are not fully acknowledging that without the approval, we can't develop this property.
Adam, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just trying to understand it, because when I look at the aerial photograph, it's oriented the same way as what's on the screen now. And I see a street that's parallel with the end of the stem.
You're looking at Bergen Avenue. Sampson comes down and then makes a turn.
Okay, I got you.
Up there now? Yes.
All right.
Brian, on lot 41.1, is there any wetlands on that lot?
Yes, there are, and it's shown. The wetlands and the wetland buffer are shown in the lot, and it's a majority of the lot. They would need a DEP permit to allow them to do that, and it's a difficult permit to get. And chances are it'll stay woods for a very long time.
All right, maybe we can address this by putting a note on the subdivision plan that the subdivider and the owner of lot, what is it, 41.01? The map is zoomed out. The developer or the lot owner, 4101, acknowledges there's no easement by necessity, and that they may or may not be able to ever get access to Sampson because of environmental constraints, and they'll continue.
Mr. Jackson, we're only approving it that this lot has only frontage to Sampson, should they get it. And if they can't get it, then it's landlocked.
Right. And I think this lot, even if it could not be developed, would still have some value. I mean, looking at the aerial photograph, there are other property owners who might want to make their backyard bigger, or I don't think it's an orphan lot, so to speak. It might not be worth what it would be worth if it could be developed, but it still has some value. So I don't.
My question is, why don't you divide it with the 4 properties on Ocean Avenue and have it a long lot?
Because those 4 properties don't need it. They're conforming lots. And as Mr. Jackson indicates, if any of the adjoining property owners want to acquire this, it has a value to them. And the owner of the property.
A landlocked lot.
Well, it's not landlocked because there's a street that comes to it, and it has adjoining property owners, so it has a value. The applicant just hasn't done the extensive amount of research that would need to be done to see what the highest and best use for that is. The highest and best use may be to add it to one of the adjoining properties, and somebody has a big backyard.
And Mr. Jackson, the applicant would agree to your previous suggestion, a note on the filed plans regarding the note, these are by necessity. We can work out that language should the board. To that.
Yeah. I think it's clear. Yeah, Mr. Sable.
I thought Terry's question is entirely different. What happens after we subdivide it into 6 different lots? And we sell the front 5 of them to new owners, or one of them stays and the other 4 get sold. Now we're stuck with another property in the back owned by an LLC. At some point, the owner says, the heck with it, I don't need it. He closes the LLC, dumps the property on the township. Is that a possibility?
It's a vacant wooded lot that's wetlands. What's wrong with that? I mean, then it's just wooded, it's just, they can't knock the trees down because it's environmentally constrained. It's just.
John, my question is that a possibility? Is it a possibility that they vacate the LLC?
I think it is.
Yeah, sure, they could have it in an LLC. They probably do.
Okay, but my question to you.
It's no different than any, let me just finish. It's no different than any other undeveloped vacant parcel anywhere. There's
Jackson,
nothing to maintain. It's wooded.
Mr. Jackson, every vacant property is owned by the township. If somebody slips over there, the township insures it.
Well, no, it's not owned by the town. It's owned by whoever has the title to it. And if not, can you hear me?
I do, but I think you're not understanding the point. Maybe you are, and trying to explain to me, and I'm not getting it. The point is, usually when somebody has a property a vacant land, there's always some use of it most of the time. Over here, it's creating a lot that will never, or well, probably never have any use of it, and there's no reason why somebody should retain ownership on it. They're going to dump it. If I would own this property, if I see I have no use of it, and you're just paying taxes in it, even though it's a minimum, you just dump it to the township. Now the township remains ownership. We almost never have these scenarios because there's always a roadway access to it.
Well, that happens all the time. You're right. That happens all the time where somebody doesn't pay the taxes and then there's a tax lien or the township takes it for whatever reason or a lien holder takes it. But there's nothing wrong with having undeveloped property. In fact, there's a lot of good that comes from it. Think of, you have all that area where the water's seeping into the ground, where the birds can fly into the trees, where kids could go out and play in the woods. There's a lot of inherent good that comes from having a vacant lot that no one's ever going to use. And they're all over the place.
It costs money, and who's responsible for that financially?
Well, I don't know what it costs. It's like open
insurance, and if there's any over the grass or something.
Well, the township doesn't have to take title to it. They could just, the township doesn't necessarily ever have to take title on it.
That's a good answer.
On the tax
Is that an option? The township can say, I don't want that. I don't want to take title to it.
Yeah. It
belongs to the
title to it.
Okay.
It doesn't revert to the township unless the township,
accepts it.
Takes it.
And again,
Do we have any other questions for any board members? Please identify yourself. Any other questions for any board members? Okay, seeing none, we'll open it to the public.
I have not received any emails on this.
I see a lot of call-ins. Are they all on other application?
Jillian may need to go through and unmute them one by one so we can identify what application they're here on.
I think, Jillian, if you can do it, I want to make sure that we don't leave anybody out.
Sure, I'm going to unmute them one by one now.
And just say the last two digits, say they should be able to answer.
Okay, starting with 27. I've just unmuted you.
Oh, he's muted still.
Yeah, it says requested unmuted.
It's still muted.
I think they have to unmute themselves once I request that they unmute.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah,
27.
I believe that's correct, Jillian. Sometimes I get that message as well. You can only request the unmute. They may have muted it on their end.
Okay, so anybody who's on a call-in, we're going to request you to unmute. If you would like to speak, please identify yourself. And please unmute yourself first. So we're starting with number 27. Okay.
Hello?
Yes. What's your last digit?
7219.
Which application are you on for?
I don't remember the number, the 2209. On Clover.
On Clover?
Clover.
Oh. Okay, so that, please mute yourself. Okay,
Okay.
Jillian, we have two with the last digits 27.
Yes, I just went through and I unmuted everybody who called in. I either unmuted them or requested to unmute, so they'll have to unmute at their end.
Okay, I'll give it a minute. If anybody is on this application, number SD2453, please unmute yourself and we'll let you talk. Okay, Ali, have you received any emails?
No.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, can I assume there's nobody on this application?
I think that's fair. And nobody spoke up. Nobody sent a text or a message or an email. So you can close it out to the public.
Okay, I would close it to the public then, and I would ask for a motion on this application.
Mr. Chairman, this is Justin. I move a motion to approve this application. I just want to clarify that there's no parking variance being requested anywhere.
They said they're giving four.
Correct.
Four,
There's no parking variances.
Okay.
giving four per house.
Okay,
And are you okay with it, that the existing lot, they should leave the gravel without paving it, without making a regular driveway?
That's what I was unclear about. There's a note here on the review that says, is that lot 41.06?
Yes, 41.06, we don't have a paved driveway. We have a gravel driveway that provides sufficient parking. The question, if it's a variance, is because it's not paved. So we're requesting relief to leave it gravel, and that's the board's decision.
I think it should be paved.
Okay. Do we have a second on that motion? So that's your motion, Mr. Flansbaum?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, it's Jakey. I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Roll call, please. Ali?
Yes,
there?
sorry, I was just making sure I wasn't muted.
No, you're not.
Mr. Garfield.
Mr. Garfield, are you there?
Mr.
Please
Garfield.
unmute yourself.
He's there. Hold on, he's muted. Request unmute. He needs to unmute himself.
Jillian, could you unmute him?
Let me try. It just says request sent. So, Mr. Garfield, if you can unmute yourself.
A wave?
He's on the phone. How do you mute him?
You have to press a button, maybe one or pound.
Mr. Garfield, are you there? Oh boy, this is not working tonight.
You have to press number 1 or pound.
Thank you. I thought there was a shortcut. Mr. Garfield, if you can hear us, press number 1.
It's a cute girl.
Pound sign.
Cute girl.
Do we have a quorum without Mr. Garfield?
I think so. Mr. Sable.
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum.
Yes.
Mr. Herzl. Mr. Isaacson.
Levy, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
I'm voting no.
Okay.
And Mr. Meyer.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved. Thank you.
Affirmative. Thank you.
Then, Mr. Garfield, I apologize. We didn't hear you.
Mr. Stern has returned, so everyone's aware, and I can move on to the next application if we're
Yes,
ready.
Mr. Sable, are you leaving now?
I'm on. I might need to leave at a moment's notice. So
Okay,
Okay. I just want to make sure we have a quorum even if he leaves, right?
correct.
Okay, so let's go on to number 3.
But we need Mr. Garfield to be able to speak to make a quorum.
Okay, Mr. Garfield, are you there?
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself.
Okay, so let's make sure, hold on. You'll have to recuse yourself only for number 3, right?
That
Mr. Isaacson, yes?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let's see if we have a quorum. If not, we'll take number 4 first.
Okay.
Mr. Garfield, are you there? Okay, I think we lost Mr. Garfield. So do we have, I don't even see, do we have a quorum who could listen to?
For item number 3, we have Mr. Stern, Mr. Sable, who may be leaving, Mr. Flansbaum, Mr. Herzl, and Mr. Meyer.
Okay, I don't feel comfortable with Mr. Sable. I don't want to start something if he has to leave. So can we try to get Dave back on?
Mr. Garfield, do you want to hang up and call back in?
Unless we go, do we have a quorum for number 4? We'll go out of order.
Yes, we do.
Hello?
Dave, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. Okay, welcome back.
I redialed back in.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much. Okay, so then we'll go in order. Number 4.
See yourself?
You mean number 3?
Hi.
Number 3, I apologize. You're right.
SP 2394 for Orheim Mayor. This is a site plan for a school on West Cross Street.
Okay, Terry, would you like to go through the report, please?
Yes, Chairman. I'm reading from our review dated November 3rd. I'm going to start at the top of page 3 under submission waivers. You have topo contours, man-made features within 200 feet, EIS and architectural drawings. We can support the waivers as noted for hearing purposes only.
Okay, do we have a motion to go along with engineer's recommendation? All waivers moved. Have a second? I'll second it. Second, Dave seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, continue the report, please.
All right, continuing on, bottom of page 3 under section 2 zoning, comment number 2, relief is required with respect to the property buffer. Continuing on to page 4, our comment 3, relief is necessary for the parking lot to be located within a portion of the buffer. Comment 4, we're going to have comment on, there is a possibility that relief may be necessary with respect to the loading and unloading area. And again, we'll get testimony from the applicant's professionals. I believe that's all the relief, John.
Okay, thank you. Who's the attorney on this application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Adam Pfeffer, member of the applicant.
So you have everything tonight?
I don't have that.
Okay.
I saw there were a lot of objectors on the next one, so I think I'll end after this.
Oh. Okay, Adam, please go.
So as Terry indicated, this is an application for construction of a new boys' high school and post-high school building with a dormitory. The proposed building would have a footprint of approximately 16,000 square feet for a 2-story school with a basement. The site plan also proposes about 8,400 square foot gymnasium building. The site has an outside pool and a basketball court. As indicated, this application is seeking no bulk variances. There are some design waivers, but other than that, we are fully conforming. I have Glenn Lyons here to provide any technical testimony, or ask that he be sworn in, and then if he can accept his credentials, then the next.
Okay.
Mr. Lyons, let me see if I see you somewhere. Where are you? There you are. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Glenn Lyons, professional engineer, professional planner.
Okay, we'll accept him. Glenn, please proceed.
Going back to Terry's letter.
Glenn, again, this is just, if you can, just as you're walking us through the application, any exhibits, if you can just mark them for the record. Thank you.
I believe we submitted.
Glenn, your camera is not clear. Are you showing anything? Okay, that's better. Now we see.
How's that?
No? Oh boy. Now you're good. Just leave it the way it is. Oh, you just lost it. Ali, you could help him out?
I see myself on the screen.
Ali, do you see him clearly?
His connection is pixelated a little. I think it's more important that we see him than we hear him. We could see him well enough.
No, but if he shows any exhibits or anything, we should be able to see it.
I have the exhibits. I'm opening them up.
Okay, no problem.
Exhibits were previously submitted. And John, I think you were indicating it's better if we hear him than see him, not the other way around.
Okay, Glenn, please proceed.
As Mr. Pfeffer pointed out, we're proposing a boys' high school and post-high school on West Cross Street with a gym building, a pool, and an outdoor basketball court in the rear. We have 2 accesses on the West Cross Street on either side of the property. That's moving around. We have there are no bulk variances related to any of the buildings, parking. Everything is in compliance with the zoning ordinance.
Excuse me, Chairman. Just want to clarify, I believe, Glenn, you do need relief with respect to the parking buffer. Is that correct?
Yeah, but that's a waiver,
right?
If it's schools, it's interpreted as a variance because it's section 900.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we need a variance from two things: 20-foot buffer along the property lines. We would all of our improvements are more than 20 feet away. We would be willing to provide fencing in areas where the board engineer thinks it's necessary. So that would be the buffer requirements. We're out in a nice open area out there on West Cross Street. Property to the go back to the exhibit. The property to the, I guess it's west or the top of the screen, sort of northeast. That's already been approved for a residential development. So there will be residential lots all along that side of the property. Number 3 is it's the buffer for the parking. Our parking lot is 9.17 feet off the property line where 10 is required. I feel that the benefit of having additional parking on this site outweighs the detriment of the 0.83 feet.
Are you proposing any landscaping in that buffer area?
We do have landscaping along the sidewalk where the parking lot is.
Because I want to shield the next, the adjoining neighbors. You're going to be parking there, any lights shining over to have a gate or trees, some bushes over there?
We have landscaping on the landscaping plan, and we would, if more is required, we would definitely add more for that side of the property better.
Okay.
The number 4 is the variance with regard to busing. We're not requesting that variance. We require, we can reconfigure that area so that we have, right now it shows 3 buses, one after the other. We have no problem reconfiguring that area to make sure that the 3 buses will fit in there without any maneuvering problems.
Could you show us the circulation plan, how the bus is going to come in and go out?
They'll come in. There's a one-way driveway on the south side of the property where the arrow is right now. They will come in on that side of the property, come up, park in front of the school, and proceed back out, and then make either a right or a left-hand turn onto West Cross Street.
Okay.
And that's really the parking, parking pattern for all the cars. You'll have an entrance on the south side and an exit on the north side. Okay. And then
let me ask you, how many parking spaces do you have? How much are required?
We have 60 spaces where 31 are required. So we have just about double what's required. But it is West Cross Street, and there is no on-street parking. So we feel the additional parking spaces are really necessary.
Yes, I'm just saying that technically, if you wouldn't violate the parking in the buffer, you would still conform to the ordinance. And as a school, you think you need more parking, that's why you're asking for the relief.
Correct. We would lose basically that whole row of parking on the north side of the property. So we would lose 16 parking spaces.
And you still conform for the 31 that you need.
But we would conform.
Right. Okay. I think it's beneficial for a school to give more parking, not less parking. And if you're parking in the buffer, I would ask you to shield it with trees, gate, to give the privacy to the neighbors.
We would definitely do that, and we would do that all along that northerly parking, where the cars would be pointing right at the neighbor's property.
Okay, I would just ask.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
What are we talking about for buffer? 6-foot vinyl, something similar?
6-foot vinyl, and what are they proposing? I would say 6-foot vinyl and maybe some
I'm just
bushes.
asking the question, Chairman. I just want it on the record.
Yes, 6-foot vinyl fence.
And bushes?
And then we would put bushes along those parking spaces.
Okay.
I just think that would look nicer than the fence right now.
Are you doing the bushes in lieu of fencing, or are you doing them both?
No, we put landscaping along the parking lot in lieu of the fencing. We put the fencing around the remaining.
Okay.
I'm sorry, through the chair, this is Justin. I'm unclear. Glenn, do you just say bushes in lieu of the fencing by the parking area?
Right. Yeah. We right now we show the fencing ending where the first handicap space.
I have an issue with that.
Landscape.
Yeah, I think Chair,
I need a fence around the whole property.
Yeah, I think the fence should be everywhere.
Yeah, the kids are going to be running the neighbor's property. You have a lot of seniors living in the area. I think we have to have a fence over there.
We have no objection to that. That'd be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, just one caveat, Chairman. The fence will have to be 4-foot limited in the front yard setback.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, please continue, Glenn.
Other than that, if you have any questions,
do you agree with that? Is there anything in the report that you don't agree with?
No.
Okay.
Very good.
How many students do you have in the school?
There'll be 100 high school students and 80 post-high school students.
Okay. Are the students coming with cars to the property?
No. Students aren't allowed to drive. The high school students would be on the 3 buses. Some would be dormitory.
The dormitory is on the same premises.
It's in the main building, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if you want to look at, we had responded to Terry's review letter, and when Terry issued a response, page 5 of our traffic study indicates the amount of students, the busing, the times, the staffing, all that information.
I just wanted to put it on the record.
Not a problem.
Okay. And now, on Cross Street, you're putting sidewalks?
We are proposing sidewalks on Cross Street and widening. The county it's been submitted to the county, and they've given us their preliminary comments.
Okay. What else? And what's with the garbage? The township picking up? I didn't see a pad for the dumpsters. Do we have that?
That's on the front right-hand corner of the building. There is a dumpster enclosure there, and we would anticipate township collection.
Not really.
Okay. Do we have any, in the rest of the report, you agree to everything?
Yes.
You could comply. Okay. Do any board members have any questions from the engineer?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is Justin. I have a question. The narrative in the report indicates 38 classrooms. I just wanted to be clear on the amount of students.
38 classrooms? I didn't read.
I think that's a mistake, guys. This is a Battlebacker.
Yeah, that's not right.
Okay, no, it's 100 students in 38 classrooms. Didn't make any sense. So I
mistake.
I assumed that was a mistake.
I don't know. We have COVID right now. Could we need 3 kids per classroom?
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to. So it's 100 students, and I definitely appreciate the additional parking that the school is proposing. I think that they were very conscientious of the fact that you cannot park on West Cross Street. So I can definitely appreciate that.
Hi guys, this is Abe here. Sorry for chiming in for 1 second.
You have to be sworn in.
Abe, you can't speak without being sworn.
Okay?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give before this board be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Abe Albeck, Lakewood, New Jersey.
Good evening, Mr. Auerbach. Please proceed.
With the fence around the property, I just want to go on record, it's going to be a 6-foot chain link fence.
Okay.
Earlier testimony, I think, said vinyl. Can we get a clarification on that?
Right. I want some privacy for the neighbors.
No, we'll put it with the privacy slats. Just not going to do a vinyl fence because it breaks. We'll do it with privacy slats. We have no problem with it.
Okay, I need privacy for the neighbors. There's a lot of seniors.
I agree.
Hey, babe, stop 1 second. This is Adam. So again, Mr. Auerbach, you are the builder on this site? Hello?
Yes.
Yes. And in your experience, you've built several schools in township. And is it your experience that the vinyl fencing breaks over time due to the kids and running around?
Yes.
And is your preference to you have no problem, objection, putting in a fence and putting in shrubbery and slats so that the buffering is provided to the board's liking?
Yes, we will put the privacy slats in the fence. It provides adequate privacy. And durable will not break it.
Hey, stop talking. Mr. Chairman, should the board approve the application, we would agree to work with the board's engineer to make sure sufficient buffering is provided.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anything else, Mr. Auerbach? Oh, that's it.
Oh, thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for giving the extra parking. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Okay, any other board members have any other questions for Mr. Auerbach, the engineer?
I think this application looks beautiful. I love the bus loading zone. There's enough sidewalks going from the street to the building, the garbage, the parking. I think it's beautiful.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, identify yourself, please.
This Bruce.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes.
Out of curiosity, why are there 2 dining rooms? Never seen that before in a school.
This is Abe Albeck over here. Probably if they want to break up, they have a future of having a post-high school. They want to probably have different times, different not grades, different, I guess, sections of the high school, post-high school, and and high school. If you want to just divide it up.
No future Simcha halls.
No.
Okay, I like that reaction. Okay, I'm good too.
Now again, to be there may be a school function, but no outside rentals. It's not what we're looking to do over here.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for any board members? Who's speaking? Okay. Any other questions for any board members? Seeing none, I would open it to the public. Do we have anybody from the public who would like to comment on this application?
Chairman, if
Yes. Yes, please.
Playground. I know we have a lot of open space and we have a basketball and a gym. Is going to be any outside playground area? Like swing sets and so on?
You have the area between the basketball court. First of all, basketball court is outside. And then and you have the gym. In between, there's a big open area.
There's open up space, yeah.
Through the chair?
Yes. This is Justin?
This is a high school and post-high school. Chaim, with all, I don't think the boys need swings.
Yeah.
Justin, I saw your Chalamoid in the park.
I think they'll be okay. I'm sorry, Chaim.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay, we're in now the public portion. Ali, can you please check?
I did not receive any emails.
Okay, we're gonna go again. Anybody, any call-in? I'm gonna give you a minute. If you're on for this application, please unmute yourself and we'll let you speak. Just identify.
Our IT guy believes that it may be *6 or #6 to unmute when you're calling on a phone.
Okay, so anybody who's a call-in, please use *6 or #6, unmute yourself, and we'll let you talk. Wait a minute.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Levy Isaacson.
Levy, just 1 second.
I'd like to make a comment as the public, from the public.
Okay,
I'm not sitting on this application.
okay.
I would just like to say that this applicant has always been very respectful of the neighborhood, and I am fully confident that he will do everything to accommodate any issues at all, so that there actually are no issues for any adjoining neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Do you hear
Mr.
me?
Garfield. Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Yeah, I lost connection again. Where is the entrance and exit on West Cross Street located?
Okay. Mr. Flannery, are you there?
I don't actually.
Oh, Glenn, I'm flying. I apologize. Glenn, he asked the question, if you can show where the exit and entrance is?
Well, the entrance is on the south side of the site. And the exit's on the north side of the site.
Okay.
This property is about 600 feet, maybe more, maybe 800 feet away from Nyman Road, which is to the south of the property.
Do you know if they plan on any, or the county plans on any lights up in that area? Street lights, the direction lights, traffic lights, can say the word. Because I live on right by Cross Street in Massachusetts, and I no longer will go down Cross Street 2 or 3 times a day. I have to go down the White and come around. And traffic could take me an hour.
This is well past, further towards Jackson than and White. We've got 1, 2, 3. There's 3 properties. They're probably each at least 300 feet wide. So we're a good 1,000 feet past Nyman Road, between Nyman and White Street, and there's no traffic signals at either of those intersections.
Okay. Justin, also didn't you say the plan showed widening in front of your property as well?
Yes.
Road widening.
Yes,
Yeah.
widening to the county requirements.
Yeah, which will definitely help the traffic flow. I mean, I also live right down the street, but that'll definitely help it out.
Okay, I will close it to the public right now.
Chairman, I have one last final
Yeah,
comment.
no problem. Mr. Sable?
If, again, the application is beautiful. If we can, a suggestion, maybe with the inn. So I guess this is the east side of the property. We're going to the
South.
property. If they can make it in a certain, I guess, cement blocker or something, so you can only make a right, not a left out of there. Make it an angle, if we can.
Going out, we should only make a right turn, not a left turn?
No.
Well,
the entrance to the property.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Only be
Yes.
allowed a right.
The board can make a recommendation. Is that a county road?
Yes, it is. Road, and they would have.
That's going to be subject to Ocean County jurisdiction.
That's correct.
Recommendation.
Yeah, 'cause the only thing, Terry, I know we spoke about this by the master plan. Cross Street, they want to add a lane to it. Want to make a turning lane. I know that it's in the works.
I believe that's in the plans, Chairman, for Cross Street. I don't know whether Cross Street's the same.
Okay.
Is that part of the same highway?
No, this is, well, yes, the plan for West Cross Street is to widen it eventually from Route 9, all the way through to the Jackson border.
All right, so this is part, Glenn, of where the county is looking to put that center turn.
Yes, and we're providing from the center line, we have 25 feet of pavement. So we basically have, the half of the turn lane, a travel lane, and that 5-foot shoulder within the 25 feet. So, along this property, the county will be basically done widening the road for this, 193 feet.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from any board members have any questions? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion on this application.
Chaim Sable, I'll make a motion with the fence on the front by the buffer area as discussed, and a recommendation only for that, to the county for that entrance.
And the fence that we spoke about, it should be a privacy fence for the neighbors.
Absolutely, as Mr. Orbach indicated.
Okay, and we agreed that it should be a chain link fence. Okay.
With privacy in it.
Okay. Okay, and do we have a second on that?
I'll second. This is Justin.
Justin, roll call, please.
Mr. Garfield,
Oh, boy.
right, I think, so IT says they think that Jillian has to, or someone has to request the unmute, and then they have to respond. When you send an unmute request, they get directions, press *6 or #6, and then they can unmute. But
I'm
we
not
have a lot-
seeing Mr. Garfield's name anymore.
Well, he came back in with just his phone.
Hello?
Oh, he's
Hi.
there.
There he
Hi.
is.
He's not labeled with his name.
Can you hear
Mr.
me?
Garfield, yes, on that motion,
Yes.
you have,
Yes,
yes?
The motion is second. How do you vote on this?
yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Mr. Stern? is
Yes.
here,
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
right? Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum?
Yes.
Mr. Herzl?
Yes, and thank you to the applicant.
And
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Mr.
Yes.
Meyer?
Much, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, motion approved. Let's go on to our last application for tonight.
Mr. Chairman, I have to leave now.
Okay, that's Mr. Meyer. Okay, just make sure that we have, again, 5 people.
Mr. Isaacson is back.
Thank
Okay.
you. So we have Mr. Garfield, Mr. Stern, Mr. Sable, Mr. Flansbaum, Mr. Herzl, and Mr. Isaacson.
Okay, just in case we lose somebody on the phone, we still have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. And would you like to go through the report?
Yes, so we are now going to hear application.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah,
SP 2392AA. This is the change of use site plan exemption for a synagogue at 15 Clover Street. And
Emunas Yisrael of Lakewood.
we will open to the public at the end of the presentation by the applicant.
Okay. Terry, could you go through the report, please? Terry, are you still there?
Yes, Chairman, I think I got muted there.
Okay.
I'm reading from our October 5th review, beginning with waivers on page 2. We have several submission waivers and several design waivers. We support the submission waivers for hearing purposes. We've identified the design waivers based on the concept. The board may want to hold off on waivers until they're comfortable with the proposed site improvements, if any.
Me?
Continuing on to page 3 of our review, under zoning.
Alan, could you move down the report?
Nobody can hear me? You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can
You
hear
can't
you.
hear me?
I
Oh.
do.
I can hear you.
Terry, I have a November 23rd letter. I believe you're reading an earlier letter.
I'm sorry, I apologize, Ally.
That's okay.
Let me see if I can find that. That letter may not be in my folder.
And we have it.
It's not. All right, you have the letter up, correct, Ally?
Yes.
All right, let me read off of this. I'm reading off of page 2. That looks unchanged from what I previously read from my October letter. The submission waivers under 1, we don't have an issue with in terms of hearing. We recommend holding off on the design until the board has heard the application.
Okay.
Getting on the next page, under zoning, as indicated, comment 2, front yard setbacks should be reaffirmed for the change of use as existing addition. Similar to the side yard setback, the accessory setback, the accessory rear yard setback, perimeter buffer will have to be acted upon because this is triggered
Terry, but
by
everything is
the change of
existing?
use.
Everything is existing?
Everything is existing physically. The buffer relief comes into play because you are changing the use where that buffer relief is now triggered.
Okay.
That's our comments on the relief, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Who is the attorney on this application? Mr. Klein, is that you? You're muted. Could you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Okay, now I hear you.
Hi, Gerald Klein here on behalf of the applicant. If I guess I need to be sworn in.
No, you don't. Are you the attorney or you?
Yes, I am. And I'm here as attorney for the applicant.
Who is who's going to do your principal testimony?
This is going to be Glenn Lines that's going to be appearing on behalf of the applicant.
Great. Mr. Lines, are you online, Mr. Lines? No. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear from before this board be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Mr. Klein, do you want to just have Mr. Lines give his overview, or do you want to ask him questions?
Now, I'll give a quick overview just to recap. This is for an existing property which is currently in residential use, had been historically residential. We're asking for the waiver to change the use to use as a synagogue. The neighborhood has, as everybody's been seeing, especially even tonight, I see that there was a previous application for adding residential housing in this neighborhood. And as everybody knows, this entire neighborhood has been transitioning to residential housing. Thus, the neighborhood does need more synagogue space. This is not for any big synagogue. This is just literally for the people in the neighborhood that are gathering together. And I believe there's a lot of the people who are on the phone calls that had been mentioned throughout the meeting. They are all the neighborhood people who want to opine about this. I think this would be a benefit to the neighborhood, as Mr. Lines will testify. And like I say, we're asking for the existing structure to be kept the same. We're not planning on putting down some huge building over here or anything like that. With no further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Lines.
I think I already put Mr. Lines under oath. Mr. Lines, you want to just give us an overview, discuss the variances, if any, and the reasons for them?
Well, the letter points out 5 variances that are required for the application. They're all related to the existing house, the shed. I think there's a couple of sheds. There's a coop, an existing chicken coop in the backyard. So all of those are existing conditions. So those are the first 4. The 5th one is for buffer relief. It's an existing house. It's not possible to provide the 20-foot buffer. It's a very narrow lot. The lot's only 50 feet wide. If we were to try and provide 20-foot wide buffers on each side, we'd end up with a 10-foot wide lot. There is some fencing around the property, which acts as a buffer. In general, it's going to be just a very small neighborhood synagogue. We anticipate everybody's going to walk. It's understood there's no parking on Clover Street. Clover's a very busy street. The neighborhood's very crowded as far as, people parking on the street already. We're just looking for a small synagogue where, a smaller group can get together. They can walk from their homes, get to this synagogue, and and pray. We are putting in a wooden handicap ramp to make the building handicap accessible. We showed 3 parking spaces on the lot. That's really just the existing driveway. We don't anticipate they would be. They're not going to be used by people, by the congregants. Maybe the rabbi would park there, but it's really not meant to provide parking to anybody coming to the site.
Glenn, we definitely need in front of the building some handicap parking spaces.
We could If we need one handicap, we could just,
You have room for that.
somehow fit a handicap parking off the street, in the front yard of the property, to widen the driveway apron. But if you feel a handicap's absolutely necessary, we could, right where,
If you,
I think the
most of
space
the,
that has a 3 in it.
if most
So
of the
what-
congregants,
oh,
and most of the congregants are going to walk. If they live in the area, we'll hear from them from the public. If they all walk, but we do have to take into consideration if there's somebody who's handicapped.
Right. So if we make one handicap space, that's really all the parking we'll be able to have on site, because that handicap space will block any access to the rear of the property. So really, the rest of the property, as far as use and buffering, it'll really be unused and inaccessible because of the handicap space.
Okay, we'll leave up to the board. Terry, you want to say?
Yeah, I had a question, Glenn, talking about the handicap space you just mentioned.
Yeah.
How is that going to be oriented? I'm looking at your plan, and it looks like there's a 16.5-foot front yard setback.
Right. And about 16 feet between the property line and that front porch, where the 125 is shown. That's probably wide enough to get a handicap space and the aisle, and the access aisle next to it. And then we have to provide an all-weather surface going back to the ramp at the back of the building.
Yeah, I'm just trying to envision, you're not talking about heading off of Clover, correct?
Yeah, we would have one head-in space on the property.
Okay, all right, are you talking about converting that space into handicap?
Well, if we're making a fully handicap accessible space, which is a van accessible space, which is 8 feet wide, and an 8-foot wide aisle, we would have to widen the apron, which will impact the on-street parking. But you would have one handicap space with an access aisle. That's
All right.
it.
So the handicap space is going to be part of one of those 3 existing stacked aisles shown on your plan.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Glenn, how big is the synagogue?
I believe it's 48 square feet. It's less than 800 square feet, so that parking is not required. Right, so the new base metro should be 84. Thank you, Ally. Which would really be the the existing living room, kitchen, and those 3 rooms combined together.
And the basement is staying vacant, unfinished?
Yeah, the basement, there's no plans to do anything with the basement, and really there's no plans to do anything with the second floor.
So you're not renting out a second floor, you're not doing any construction whatsoever? You're leaving it as existing just for a small shul?
Right, we're just doing some first floor renovations, basically.
Okay.
Remove walls.
Okay.
Other than that, it's,
Is there anything to report you don't agree with?
No, we can address all the issues in the report.
Okay, do you want to put on the record the reasons for the variance?
Well, all the variances, again, are existing.
So you don't have to give any...
So, we can't move the house. We'd like to keep the sheds and the outbuildings where they are for the time being. There's really no reason to remove them. They've been there for years. So that, and then the only other variance was the buffer variance. I believe I addressed that in that, if we provided the buffer, we would only have a 10-foot wide building envelope, and that would require demolition of the existing house. So I feel the buffer variance is justified in this case, in that we're based on the use and no one driving to the site. There won't be any great impact on the neighbors from vehicles.
Should you throw down the building and want to build a new building, you will have to come back to the board?
Yes. Yeah, this is just a change of use for this building.
So okay. It's basically a temporary change of use because such a small synagogue is not going to last you too long.
It's just necessary, and it's what they'd like to do.
Okay.
Just one comment, Chairman.
Yes.
It looks like you all have an existing buffer along the southerly property line. Looks like there's a fence there already, Glenn. Adjoining lot 18, I think it is.
Yes. Yeah, there is a buffer. There is an existing fence. I don't know what kind of fence it was.
So you have some form of buffer there now.
Yes, and there's also a fence shown on the northerly property line, I think.
Thank you.
So we are providing, there is some fencing to buffer the neighbors.
Okay. Any questions for any board members?
I mean, Chairman, timetable.
Yes.
I'm looking at Google Maps. Maybe Ali can bring up Google Maps, this property, if you have a moment. It's showing that the backyard is vacant. We can park a lot more parking. I know we only have one way in or one way out, so it might be a cluster issue over there, but it's still better than nothing. And if we take away those few sheds, then we can at least, if needed, we can have some extra 10, 15 cars parking there with some sort of normal system going in and out as an extra backup.
If I may interject, this is Gerald Klein speaking on behalf of the applicant. The applicant would not be averse to graveling the rear of the yard so that if necessary, there would be some parking over there.
I think that would be great.
Okay.
Through the chair?
Yes, who's Bruce?
Yeah, along those lines, I mean, I'm looking at Google Earth also. Those sheds are not architecturally pleasing, to be kind. Why not just get rid of them?
And just Gerald Klein again to interject once again, I don't think the applicant would have any objection to that either.
But why don't we clean this up? And I'm looking at this. This looks like, let's just say there's a lot of people living in this house right now. There's a lot of garbage in the back. Why don't we clean up the shed, get rid of the sheds so you don't have to pave it? But yeah, make a nice clean gravel lot. And we certainly don't have any parking on Clover, just in case there is a random person, it's bad weather, and somebody decides to drive to Shul. Why don't we have, like Chaim says, I mean, we could at least 10 parking stops. You can get back there.
Basically, if you get 10 spots, it's a small shul. It's technically a by right application. It's a variance-free application according to the parking.
It'll be an issue going in and out, but we can have.
How wide, Glenn? How wide is that driveway?
7.8.
Enough for one car.
The space between the house, or the building, and the property line, the side setback on is 15.2 feet.
Okay.
It's 87 feet from the back of from basically the deck to the rear property line, which is about, we could get about a handicap space and maybe 7 other spaces.
Okay.
Why don't we do that, Glenn?
But
Get rid of the sheds.
If that's what the board would like, I'm sure.
We asked very nicely.
I think we have to try to be as much accommodating to the neighbors. We can't park on Clover Street. I know it's a very small shul. It may not be required, according to the law, to put any parking in. But like Bruce said, if it's a bad weather, it's going to rain, we're going to have guys come with a car. Let's give them the few spaces to keep the area clean. Okay. Any other questions of any board members? See none, I would open to the public. Now, Mr. Jackson, are you here? Okay, we have a lot. I'm looking, there's a lot of call-ins over here.
Yes, I've taken a look at all of those, I just, from my sense of the board, I think we should make an inquiry first, whether there is anybody on the line who is in opposition to this application. We received numerous letters, and I see dozens of people on the phone. Every one of the letters was positive in support of it, stating that they wanted to pray there. They thought it would be a good asset to the community. We can make all that part of the record. The board has had the opportunity to review all those, and they will, and to know the benefit of, there's been, a dozen comments. So I would first ask that if there is anyone.
We have two. I think Mrs. Crickland and Mrs. Carew, they were waiting for us. And I did look through some emails. I think most of the people are all saying they're going to be walking because they live in the vicinity. They are not going to drive. It'll be faster to walk than to drive to the synagogue.
All right.
Okay, so I think that we do have.
Well, let's see if anyone's in opposition first.
Okay.
And let's hear what they have to say, and then we'll determine where to go from there.
Okay, I know that we have.
What I recommend.
Okay, Mrs. Crew and Mrs. Crickland.
Jillian.
Just to confirm, does John? Do you want me to unmute everyone?
Yeah,
I think
I'm going to ask everyone to try to cooperate here. This is new territory. We haven't had many people, and so please just try to cooperate with the process here. I'm going to ask everyone. We're going to unmute everyone. Jillian, do you have the ability to just unmute everyone?
yes. And again, it's saying request sent, so I think that everyone at their end needs to also unmute.
Well, only if you want to speak. So if you want to speak in opposition only, right now when you get the invitation, accept the invitation to unmute, and then we'll hear from you.
Okay, and please, whoever would like to speak, one at a time, I will acknowledge you, and please state your name for the record. Okay.
So let's see if there's anybody who wants to speak in opposition.
Yes, yes.
Okay, please state your name. What's your name first?
I'm Willie Kirkland.
Mrs.
All right,
Kirkland.
Ms. Kirkland.
Yes.
Ms. Kirkland, I know we can't see you, but I'm going to ask you, can you affirm or do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
What's your address?
Tell the board what your concerns are.
I'm 25 Clover Street.
Okay.
I live on this street. This street is already congested. And he's saying that people won't be driving on here. Yes, people do. They come and block my driveway every day. And I have to fight to get in my own driveway. I don't think that would be a good thing to pull a shul up there. That's my opinion on it.
Okay.
What do you think about the idea of having parking in the backyard?
The backyard is so small. I got a backyard out here. They won't hold those people. People don't park in the backyard. They park on the street. We could say this all day. What about the backyard? What about the backyard? Nobody. They park on the street.
Well, I was more concerned about whether you would think that would be, if that would bother you. I know I just wondered whether that would be a bother to you if people parked in the backyard.
And we need peace on our street just like everybody else has peace in their home too. And once you put a shul there, everybody's going to be coming over here. Like I said, blocking my way, blocking everybody else's way. We need peace too, just like everybody else.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Is there anybody, there was another person.
Miss Cruz? Ms. Cruz, are you there? Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Is that you, Ms. Cruz?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I ask you to, hold on a second. This is John Jackson, the board attorney. I don't know if you could see. I'm going to ask you if you would swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Please tell the board what your concerns are and any questions.
What's your address?
Yeah, 25 North Clover Street.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, I have the same concerns as Ms. Kirkland. We both. The street is already overpopulated. We've got new homes there, new families, big families, lots of cars, lots of traffic is on the street now. And my house would sit directly across from the shore, and I would be the one that would be inconvenienced. I think there may be one or two homeowners there that are actual homeowners that would sit in right directly by the shore, and I'm listening, but unless they're tearing down two houses over there or the house right next to the shore, I think that would probably be on my right hand side. I'm not seeing this parking. I don't know how they would park 10 cars in that backyard. I'm just and no way in and no way in and no way out. That would just be we deal with buses, working vehicles, and people going back and forth to work. The traffic is horrific, and I have to wake up to this here day in and day out. The noises that go on. I'm already going from living there over 30 years. From what was once a quiet, slow street to now a busy, congested zone. The noise, the congestion, it's becoming a lot. It really is, and we have to deal. Even the people that are saying they're going to walk, that's fine. There's still a lot of congregating around my property. Everybody else, like she said, have their privacy where they live at. Now my home will become a place where business is conducted, people are gathering. I just can't move about. I just don't have that no more. I've lived there 30 years and seen how this neighborhood is no longer residential. It won't be a residential neighborhood for me anyway. And that's my concern about the shore becoming across the street. It will be directly across from me. I will not have peace or quiet. It will no longer. I will not have my privacy anymore. I don't have it now. What little bit I do have, I want to try to keep.
Through the chair.
Thank you. Okay. No, thank you, Mrs. Cruz.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bruce.
Yeah, just through the chair. What the nice lady who just, I guess the one before it,
Mrs. Crickland.
What are they advocating? I mean, we have certain. We're not the township committee. We have certain parameters of what we can and cannot do. What are they asking this board to do or not do?
Put it in your neighborhood.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's not fair.
I think there was a misunderstanding. I think what Mr. Stern was getting at, sometimes there are things that you can ask for, whether it be buffering, whether it be screening, whether it be no lights, whether it be entrance a certain way. So I think what Mr. Stern was getting at, is there anything specific that you would request that could possibly make this work or be less of an impact? And maybe your answer is, I don't want it here at all, and I hope for you to deny it. So I think that's what the inquiry was. And
thank you, Mr. Jackson. It's exactly what my question was.
Okay, so we understand that. That's what she basically said. I don't see no way that it would work because, like I said, it sits directly across from my house. There's a lot of traffic going in and out now in my neighborhood across from my house, and I just want to stop.
Okay, I think we get the point of your question, and I think with Stern's
Let
comment.
me add another thing. Then our taxes go up, and you guys don't have to pay taxes on that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
One of the comments that Mr. Stern made was the reality is that this is permitted in the zone. And it is something that the law considers to be inherently beneficial. And the board's hands are somewhat tied on an application like this. And you know, I think the board members can relate, and they understand that it's an imposition when sometimes when a facility is right next to your house. But you gotta, you know, they are allowed, and the board has to work within the confines of the law. So,
okay, thank you.
Let me say this to you. It's a lot of them are already on the street. There's one on Bergen Street. There's one on Ocean Avenue. They can walk there. It's in walking distance. Why would you put one right across the street from my house? It's not like the temple's not right around here. They put them everywhere.
Okay.
Not only 10 people on the show because of COVID. We need to have more shows.
Okay, thank you. I would like to continue. Mr. Jackson, I think we don't be fair. If there's anybody, we listen to the opposition. We can listen to 2-3 people who are pro. Let's see if anybody would like to speak on that.
all right, you're right. So I'm going to ask Mr. Klein to select 3 people. It appears the rest of the callers are here, and as the chairman, you certainly have the right and the responsibility to limit.
It's going to be repetitious just to go over.
Repetitious testimony. So let's, Mr. Klein, do you want to pick three people to speak, or do you want to take them at random? What do you want to do?
I would propose that the first should be, there's a Mr. Hasenfeld that I would propose he should be the first speaker.
Okay. So
at the same time, if I just may make one point, the flip side of, you know,
this isn't the time for to argue your case. Let's hear from witnesses.
Thank you.
Mr. Hasenfeld, so Jillian, I'm going to ask that you give everyone the opportunity to
unmute yourself.
And I'm going to ask just Mr. Hasenfeld to speak.
Okay, I'm sending the request again.
Okay, Mr. Hasenfeld, please unmute yourself now. Oh, wait a minute.
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Hasenfeld, is that you?
Yes, Mr. Hasenfeld.
Okay.
Just give your address.
So I'm calling here on behalf of LHH LLC. That's my father, which is next door.
Okay, hold on. You have to be affirmed.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. You don't have standing. If you're calling on behalf of your father and you don't live in the neighborhood, and unless you're an attorney, you can't speak on his behalf. So we have to get someone from the neighborhood.
Okay.
Okay.
So at this point, I propose we take at random any 3 people.
All right, so why don't we...
Unmuted, the first 3 people. Okay, anybody would like to speak, please unmute yourself, and one at a time, please. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak? I see a few people unmuted.
Mr. Herzl, we could certainly read 1 or 2 of the affirmative emails that came in
Okay,
as well.
please.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we just select 3 of the letters to read out loud, the rest of it for the record. I've reviewed all of them. I think all the letters we received were positive. They said the same general thing. So, Ms. Morris, why don't you just select...
randomly 3 people.
Here's lucky number 13. This is from Mr. Eliezer Lipschitz. He resides at 508 Sterling Avenue, and he says this shul is important to me, and I approve and look forward to it being here. Another comment we received from Miss Leamy Klinger, resides at 819 East End Ave. This shul is very important to me, and I look forward to it being here. Please give this matter your utmost attention. And we'll take the first comment that came in yesterday from Shalom Garandasi. He resides at 357 Bergen, and this shul is important to me, and I approve and look forward for it being here.
Okay. The only thing Mr. Klein, I would ask the applicant to be considerate of the neighbors. I would like to have as much parking as possible with a gravel parking lot. I would like if the property's fenced, it should be a privacy fence around it to shield all the cars, the lights shining to the next door neighbors. We have to try, it is a residential area, to try to keep it, as peaceful as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to make a point again that this is a full use variance. So, we will be doing some work on the property to make it more pleasing to the neighborhood as well, because quite frankly, this is pretty decrepit. And we're going to just do this aesthetically as pleasing to the neighborhood too.
Okay, at this time, I will close it to the public. And you have sidewalks in front of your property, right?
Yes.
On Clover Street? Okay.
Yes.
And garbage will be the township, will roll out containers?
Correct.
Okay. Should you make any expansion, if you want to throw down a building, build a new building, you will have to come back to the board to show the parking.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's just the change use on this property. Okay, at this time, I would ask for a motion on this application.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the application with the condition that shed 1, shed 2, shed 3, and does that say coop?
That's a chicken coop.
Well, let's get rid of the darn chicken coop. Can we do that?
And put as gravel and as many parking spaces as possible.
Exactly. So all 3 sheds go bye-bye, the coop and the associated chickens go bye-bye.
And a privacy fence?
Privacy fence, how high, Mr. Herzl?
So I'm okay with 4 feet. As
4
long as the
feet?
lights don't shine over to the next door neighbor.
And it would be preventing light shining from next door, and as many decks on your gravel parking lot as the law and prudence allows.
Okay, do we have a second on that? Yes.
Can I interrupt a second?
Yes, of course.
Mr. Bruce, can you recommend putting gravel from the back to the front of the property on side of the driveway?
I think it already is. It says gravel driveway.
No, but there's some grass on the side where we can put gravel over there to make it a safe pathway.
No problem.
So since Mr. Sable asked it, then I would like to amend my motion to include that as well.
Okay, Mr. Sable, do you want to second that now?
Solemn Karen, that. No.
What?
No.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it. This is Justin.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Garfield. Mr. Garfield, are you still here? Mr. Garfield, is that you? I think you ended in 8-3.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There you go, yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Stern,
Yes.
Mr. Sable,
I'm gonna abstain.
Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Herzl,
Yes.
and Mr. Isaacson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Motion approved. Okay, let's go on.
Thank you, Chairman. Have a great night.
Okay, we have any minutes?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion on the minutes?
So moved.
So moved. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Approval of bills? Do we have a motion to approve the bills?
Moved.
Moved. We have a second. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. While we have everybody on, when is the next meeting? To the end of the year, what do we have left?
For 8 and December 20th.
I didn't hear you. December 8th and December what?
Hold on just a minute. 8th and 22nd.
Okay. Okay, I hope we'll have a, when is Hanukkah? Did anybody check?
I don't remember.
Okay, we could be open. I just hope we have a quorum. I would ask everybody to please try, let's finish off this year. I know it's not easy on the phone, but we need a quorum. We'll finish off whatever anything, other applications we have this year. And thank you, everybody, for coming in tonight. And we should have a great night. Stay healthy.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you, Jill, for coming in at the last second.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.